Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the opening playbook for Friday, September 5th. We are going to get started with a little pre show content and then get into the good stuff. If this is your first opening playbook, a special welcome to you. Opening Playbook is a free daily live webinar that we do to provide timely market news and trading education. Stars Graham Lindman and Nathan Tucci try and focus on market overview, trade ideas, questions and answers for all of you, occasionally some live trading, and occasionally a special guest. When you come to the webinar page, do not click on the login link. Just put in your name that you want to be known by in the chat and click join. You don't actually have to log in. A few things about the interface if you're new to it. The hamburger button on the top left, those three bars will shrink the left column so that that green area is smaller and gives you a little more screen real estate for the presentation. So I recommend doing that. In the bottom left corner of the presentation, you'll see a speaker icon. When you hover over the presentation or tap on it, that's your mute button that you can use to mute or unmute the sound from the presentation. So if you can see us but not hear us, first thing you should do is make sure you didn't accidentally tap the mute button. In the bottom right of the presentation area, you'll see two icons for changing the size of the presentation. The double arrow icon will make the presentation full screen. This will cover up the announcements and the chat, but will show you the biggest presentation and let you see the detail better if need be. The icon to the left of that one is the picture in a picture icon. That will shrink the presentation to a small floating window that will allow you to do other things behind it and still be able to see and hear the presentation. Now, the picture in a picture functionality is browser and device dependent. So, depending upon which browser and device you're using, you may or may not see that icon. If you're using like a phone or a tablet and you really want to be able to switch to like your trading platform or another web page while the presentation is going, you might try switching devices or switching browsers to see if you can get that picture in a picture functionality available to you. Lastly, if you want to send a message to any of the hosts, being Nathan, Graham, or me, without the rest of the attendees seeing it, you can click on any of our messages in the general chat and then click on that double speech bubble icon, which will allow you to send us a private message that only that particular host will see. That way, if you want to ask a question or send us like your name, email, phone number, that kind of stuff without the whole world seeing it, you can do it in a private message. And that's what we use when we switch from the kind of general educational portion of the program to the deep dive into one of our programs at the end. We go to the private messaging. If you haven't seen it or you want to see a replay of any of our programs, you can go to the replay page, marketspg.com/nmc-replays. This will have an ongoing, ever building library of replays of both opening and closing playbook. Right now, it goes back to about mid-August. If you want to see something later, further back than mid-August, earlier than mid-August, you would need to go to the links in the announcements area below the presentation. And if you don't have these links, you really should go grab them. The first link is the link to this webinar room. That's the link you should be using to get here. And for closing playbook, it'll change in your browser once you click on it, but it'll always take you to the live room. So that NMC-live is what you should be using. The second link is the one we just talked about, the NMC-replays for the recent replays. And then older replays can be found under that third link on YouTube at New Money Crew. The fourth link there is the daily scan email and text messages. That's a web page you can use to sign up for a free daily email and some text alerts from us. This is not going to be necessarily trade alerts or a specific program of Nathan or Graham's. It's really about the opening and closing playbook and about kind of just general market info and maybe some tickers on their watch list, that kind of stuff. So it's not a skin or it's not a product and it's not like a trade alert, but it is some helpful information to have coming to your inbox every day. I also provided the links to get into Nathan and Graham's general Telegram channels. That is really the best place to keep up on events that are happening, get links to events that are going to be starting soon and things like that. Another thing you should definitely get if you don't already have it is the dollar Playbook VIP membership. That is literally $1 for lifetime membership into the opening and closing Playbook members area. There is some really good training in there, some useful tools like spread calculators and things, useful links, stuff like that. It's the best dollar you'll ever spend. And then the last four links in those announcement links are just things that some of you might find helpful. How to paper trade, which is a way to practice trading without using real money. A guide to the different levels of options permissions you might need in your account for trading different types of trades. A walkthrough of our one-click trading members area, and an introductory video to our customer service live, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a service we provide to all of our members of any of our programs. It's a 3-hour a day, 5-day a week live Zoom call done by our customer service team to answer questions, do demonstrations, all kind of really useful stuff in there. And if you are a member and you're not taking advantage of CS Live, you're missing out on some really valuable added features of being a member here. Today in Opening Playbook, we're going to do some Friday housekeeping, the lesson of the week, a sneak peek at the trade for the closing playbook this afternoon, and as Nathan likes to say, as anything, kind of a longer open-ended Q&A session to get questions answered, hopefully mostly about trading, but we'll kind of end it for anything appropriate. And with that, let's get into the theme song.
Flip the page, it's time to start the game. Graham and Nathan calling out the names. Opportunities knocking loud and clear. The market's playbook is finally here. Opening playbook, we're ready to roll. Daily moves that fire up your soul. Strategy sharp like the razor blade. This is where the big plays are made. Oh, charts are lighting up the morning sky. They spot the trends with the hawk side. Options and plays in a live display. This is where the big plays are made. Oh, charts are lighting up the morning sky. They spot the trends with the hawk side. Options and plays in a live display. Every move counts in the game they play. Opening playbook, we're ready to roll. Daily moves that fire up your soul. Strategy sharp like the razor blade. This is where the big plays are made. Oh, step by step they break it down. No confusion, no spinning around. With every trade they set the tone, making big calls on their trading throne. Opening playbook, we're ready to roll. Daily moves that fire up your soul. Strategy sharp like the razor blade. This is where the big plays are made. Oh, this is where the big plays are made. Oh.
Well, hello, Mr. Graham.
Hello. Oh, hey, Nate.
Yeah,
Hello.
how's everybody doing? Happy Friday.
Yes, indeed. Happy Friday. How's
Happy
everyone else doing?
Dude, rocket. Woo!
Rocket's a rocket.
Also, I mean, kudos to JD so far. He suggested taking profits at the open. He expected a pop and then a fade, and we are getting a pop and a pretty strong fade here.
Yeah.
At the
Looks
market
like, what are
open.
we at? Yeah, about
We
half a
basically
percent
got
already down.
AVGO holding up the markets today. Gold is looking really good. But I mean, Google, Apple holding strong. Your Bitcoin pop, you nailed that. But a lot of the market is actually red today.
Yeah, AMD I'm holding that, and it's getting hammered, just absolutely hammered. I was a genius on AMD for like 3 days, and now not so much. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's now down 6%.
You can only hold genius status so long.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
looking for that one to come back.
Yeah, we got questioning what happened to look at. I mean, every chart on a 5-minute, Lilly, Nvidia, AMD. Yeah, wow, AMD's 5% now. Holy moly! Yeah, GEV, which was one of my picks from yesterday's shotgun trading. Hopefully, my rocket pick offset that for you guys. But strong fade here at the open.
Yeah, tons of fall for now. Bitcoin holding up well. Of course, Tesla's been like the anti, fade stock lately somehow. I don't know how that happened, but it's been breaking out. I think Tesla's actually looks like a pretty good breakout right now, to be honest with you. That weekly chart, I could see Tesla up to 375, 400 here in the next couple of weeks. It's a pretty clean momentum stock and looks like it's kind of finished this curl to the upside, making a pretty decent move. And of course, Progressive, Graham, my other favorite stock, gonna be red even when the fade, and it's supposed to do the opposite of the fade. It's not doing a whole lot there for me. So
On a I can't believe it. It popped above the 50-day moving average. I'm like, all right, this is it. We're fine. Our patience is about to pay off. And rejected.
Yeah, the patience is it's not paying too well. But TLT looks like we're getting a little pop there.
TLT should be popping. Did you guys see the job openings number this morning?
Yeah.
It was not good at all.
Not so good.
Not good at all.
Well, like JD said, bad news, good news for the immediate pop. So he nailed that.
Good for TLT. It's good for Rocket Mortgage in the sense that refinances will probably be happening because it just means the Fed has more room to cut rates. But pretty much actually bad for the economy. So.
Yep. All right. Well, we have a lot to get to as always. I know some people are asking about those shotgun trades. Pretty good set of trades, but we'll cover most of those on the closing playbook side of things. If we have enough time, maybe I'll jump into a couple of them and just go through what's been filled and what hasn't been filled. Most of that we'll do on the closing playbook. And for now, let me get my screen shared so we can get rolling right along here. September 5. Can't believe it's September 5. That is crazy.
Nate, do you have a perfect week on overnight options this week?
We are batting 100 this week. We did have a loss last Friday, though, to be fair. Okay. So we were 28 for 30 or something. Then we had a loss. So I think we're 32 for 35, maybe the last 35, somewhere in that range. So we're rolling. Also had a little hiccup on AOP. Automated options was 14 for 15. Had a loser when we got that big dump and then popped back and had a winner on one of those trades that was down. Looked really ugly, a couple days ago, and then hit a target yesterday. So that was nice. Those strategies have been really resilient. That target, being in there to give yourself an opportunity, even when the market doesn't finish where you want it to finish, is a really big advantage. We'll talk about that today. Actually, it's a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is more on the target side of things. So let me do a little bit of housekeeping first. I try to do some of this on Fridays just to make sure that you guys know where everything's at. Dave's been doing a really good job of kind of introing some of this stuff and covering it. But I know a lot of you jump right on at 10 or a couple minutes after. So just a little bit of housekeeping here. The replays, as Dave has been covering, are now in a new clean spot for you guys. That's on that Vimeo link that I think he shared. Is that in the announcements there or
Yep.
help links there?
Second link in the announcements.
There you go. So that if you guys click that, that'll bring up that replay page, which is really nice, very organized. YouTube was giving us some hassle trying to organize it and name things cleanly. So when you miss stuff, I recommend going back through the opening and closing playbook replays. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and so check those out. Number 2, members only class on Sunday night. Graham and I are going live Sunday at 7 p.m. Graham is going to cover a couple technical things, a couple tactical things, but also a little sneak peek on a big project he's been working on. And as an additional sneak peek, I will let you guys know that there's potentially a way for you to be very involved in this project that he's been working on. So that'll be exciting as well. Also, weekend options, a whole bunch of questions that I got on weekend options. And if we took our first loser on Monday, guys, no, we did not take our first loser on Monday, which would actually be Tuesday when the market opened, because we avoid long weekends as part of the strategy. So for those of you who are not members but said, hey, did the streak go away? Because every Friday, like today, I'm going to tell you, join weekend options. And so some people asked, did we take a loser? No, we are still perfect in 2025. No losers on weekend options because we avoid those long weekends for precisely the reason that happened on Tuesday's open. And then the last one I want to mention is Telegrams. I don't know if that's in the helpful links as well. I think yes, it
Telegram, your general telegrams are.
You're on the ball. Okay, so a lot of this is another big question. How do you guys get updates on, what we're, if we mention a trade that we put together an opening playbook, and if we closed out of it, if we're still holding it, a lot of times we'll cover an opening playbook, but we have so much to cover that a lot of those updates will come directly in Graham and I's Telegram. And the other thing is I might be focused on doing, quote unquote, the lesson of the day. And so Graham's not as active on a session. And so if it's his trade and not my trade, you definitely want to be paying attention to his Telegram and vice versa. So make sure you're in those Telegrams. I often get a lot of questions like, Nate, you never followed up on XYZ trade. I'm like, oh, I did. I posted it right in Telegram. But if you're not looking at Telegram, you might miss it. So make sure that you're in Telegram. It's free. It's easy. It takes about 2 minutes. So no reason not to catch all of the updates from Telegram there. Okay. I think that is it for our housekeeping for this Friday. So today I'm going to get into something I'm really excited about. I tried to conceptualize this in a new way. I hope that this is helpful to you. We're going to talk about when time decay is on your side, and then one way that you can really supercharge that. That's what today's lesson is all about. And don't forget, we have our Ask Me Anything or Ask Us Anything session that we try to do on Fridays. So if you have tickers or trade structures or things that you have questions about those, just put those in your back pocket for now, and we'll get to them here shortly. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to kill one misconception when it comes to time decay. And this is a huge one. You don't need a credit spread to use time decay to your benefit. Okay. It works exactly the same way with a debit spread as it does a credit spread. So I'll cover that in a second here, again, conceptually, visually, but you do not need to use a credit spread in order to take advantage of time decay. A debit spread and a credit spread will work the same way. It's just a matter of where they are in relation to price. That's part of what we'll get into today. So again, just want to be super clear on that. Here's one way to think about the debit spread versus the credit spread. Now, this is, again, going to be conceptual today, but hopefully it'll start to make sense. So if you were to enter a trade here, okay, down here, you could either do a credit spread where you're selling and you're getting a 20-cent credit, or you could do it as a debit spread where you buy the call, sell the higher call, and you'll pay an 80-cent debit. And as this were to move sideways, if you picture price as this white line, imagine price did absolutely nothing. Every single candle, which this would never happen, but every single candle moved 0% and just flatlined into the expiration. Well, the debit spread would get more valuable from 80 cents up to its full dollar, and the credit spread would get more valuable by losing its 20 cents of value. Okay, so the credit spread would curve down to being worth 0, which would give you a 25% ROI. Why? Because the dollar spread, you collected 20 up front. The 80 cent would give you a 25% ROI as it accelerated toward a $1 value. Okay, so both work the same way, both give you the same ROI, both values move the same direction at the same time. Let me just pause for a second. I'm going to ask you guys to be very active in the chat today because it's kind of a new lesson that I haven't covered before. So starting now, does that make sense? Because if you don't first understand that you can use a debit spread in the exact same way as a credit spread, and that the time decay is going to be your friend as directional and time moves, then everything else is going to be hard to grasp. So just give me a yes in the chat if this concept makes sense. Again, you collect a credit, it accelerates towards 0, or you buy a debit, it accelerates toward full value. Both scenarios are the same. You don't have to use a debit spread, by the way, like I do. You could use a credit spread if you like those better, but just to be clear, they will function the same way. All right, cool. And by the way, I'm going to ask you to keep being active in the chat today. So one of the biggest questions I get is how this plays out in real time, especially with targets, right? Because this is theoretical. It kind of gives you the chart, but how does this actually work in real time? What if I actually take this trade? How do the values change, especially when it comes to using targets? Give me a yes in the chat. Once again, if you are someone who has followed me and started to use targets, because that's also a big part of how we trade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this with a very conceptual view. I'm going to kind of give you a theoretical view of this, and then we will get more practical as we go along. We can do that in the Ask Me Anything part of the equation too, if you have questions more specific. But we're going to start very theoretical. And so I just want you to bear with me as we kind of theorize how this works, because I think that you can have a light bulb moment. And like I said, please use the chat throughout this training. This is the first time that I've done this training. For many of you, this might be over your head. This might be like drinking out of a fire hydrant. That's okay. I think this is one that you'll want to go back to later as you get more and more experienced in trading this way. But please use the chat as we go through it, because I'm going to ask several questions, theoretical questions, and I think the more you engage, the more it'll help me teach it in a way that's helpful, and also the more that it'll make sense to you. And then Dave can, be my my support system and step in and say, Nate, you lost us. You got way too theoretical. You got way too in the weeds. And explain it in a way that might be more helpful. So, Dave, I'll rely on you if I get too far off the trail here.
All right.
So let's get into it, because it's not as simple as if the price is above the line in the sand, my target will hit. Now, let me pause already. One slide in. Let me pause. I'm going to use terms like line in the sand. That's typical opening playbook type of language. If you're new, don't worry. You'll get the hang of it. That's referring to our strike prices. And when I say as simple as above the line in the sand, what a lot of people think is, hey, I traded the 466, 467 spread. It went to 478. I should have won the trade. Well, no, it's not as simple as that. Remember, and this is really what I want you guys to walk away with, the option market is a probability machine. Okay? That's what it is. It's a probability machine above all else. It doesn't have to play by any strict rules in terms of how it prices those options, at least not until expiration, right? You don't have to say, well, the market should have priced this option at this. It's going to take into account all kinds of factors until expiration. So what it's really doing is mapping opportunities and probabilities. So let's just play a game. And Ken, no, you do not want your debit spread to end between the strikes. You want it to end above both strikes on a call debit spread. All right, so let's play a little game here and think through. Imagine you take a trade like this. You buy the $99 call and you sold the $100 call. So this is your, what we would call the line in the sand. This is the price that you want it to be above. So imagine that trade. And now imagine that the current price is here. So this is your candle, right? Bought this, sold this, here's your candle. How much do you guys think this spread is worth? Now remember, you can let me know in the chat. Remember, the max value of the spread is $1. It can only be worth $1 because we bought the $99 call and we sold the $100 call. So the max value here is $1, and we get an opening candle right here. How much do we think that the spread is worth at this current moment in time? And that's what really we're going to be talking about today. How do you value what a spread, or how does the market value what a spread is worth in real time? I'm patiently waiting for you guys to use the chat. So ignore me as I sit here silently waiting for the chat, because there's a little delay on this feed. So it takes a second for the chat to show up.
Yeah.
All right. Mike has asked a question.
Mike's got the question there.
Brandon has asked a question. All right, good. Not enough information.
Yeah.
We don't know how much this is worth because we don't have enough information, right? It depends. Okay. You got several of you are on the ball here. Depends on some factors. Okay. Now let's say that the expiration is here. And this is 30 days. All right. Because that's going to change the dynamics, right? So expiration is here and we're 30 days away. Now, a lot of you said this would be worth $1. And I think that's the trap people fall into. They say, oh, well, it's above the line in the sand, so it's worth $1. Well, no, because we don't know other factors. In this case, let's say we have 30 days. Now, how much is it worth? Now we know how much time is left on it and where it is relative to that time. Well, now how much is it worth? Well, we still don't have enough information because we still have to think about price and how this particular asset is moving and things like that. All right, well, let's say the candle is currently 1%. Now we have a metric for price. Let's say it's 1% above the line in the sand. Well, now how much is it worth? Well, still, we don't have enough information. Okay, let's say the stock typically moves about 0.3% per day. So now you know when the expiration is, where the price is 1% above the line in the sand, how much time it has, and how this stock actually moves. Well, we're getting close, but we still don't have enough information. Well, let's say there are no earnings or major economic events, and the VIX is at 15. And we know the ATR here is about 0.3. Well, now you're probably at the point where you finally have enough information to say, okay, this spread that has a max value of $1 is probably worth about 60 cents. You still don't have every factor. You don't have all the Greeks in there, but you at least have enough information to say, okay, in this situation with a stock that moves this much and has this much expiration left and with a low VIX and we're not pricing in any crazy moves, it's probably worth about 60 cents. By the way, Stacy just asked a very important question that is important to realize doesn't matter. Okay, so it actually doesn't matter what you paid for. Now, it matters for you and your ROI, but the value of the spread doesn't care what you paid for, right? It only cares about the other factors, right? So for a practical understanding of how spread values change, we actually need to start looking at scenarios. And hopefully this is kind of where some of that light bulb moment will come into play of how we think about spreads and what their true value is. So remember, we know all this information. The VIX is low. We average 0.3. It was about 1% above the price. Now it's about 2% above the price. How much do you guys think the spread is going to be worth in this scenario? So now let's say that we're 2% above this $100 level, but we still have 30 days left. If it was worth 60 cents and it moves up here, how much do you think the value is going to be now at 2% above the line in the sand with the same 30 days left? The VIX still where it is, you know, the stock still being the same. all of those sort of factors being exactly equivalent, what do we think the price of the spread or the value of the spread will change if we get a move up of an additional 1%? Well, it'll probably be 65 to 70 cents. It'll definitely go up, but it's not going to go up massively because we still have the full 30 days. And so time is still going to be significant here as it relates to the overall value of the spread. Let's go back here again and look at it another way. Same starting scenario. What would it be worth if price were here? So now we're looking at a different scenario. Price didn't go up 1%. It stayed exactly the same, but now we only have about 12 days left to expiration. How does that affect the value of the spread? Again, price didn't change at all in this scenario, only time has changed. Now, what do we think the value of the spread is? Well, in this case, probably 80 to 85 cents here in this scenario, because time is going to be weighted a little bit more heavily as we get closer and closer. That curve I showed you, remember the curve accelerates as we get closer to expiration. Well, what about here? Same expiration, maybe 12 days or so left, but price now is even higher. Well, now we're probably in the 95 cent plus range, with price being 2% above and less price. Again, it's accelerating and price is higher. And don't worry, I'm going to try to tie this into a bow because I promised you this was going to be theoretical. We're going to kind of bounce around some theoretical scenarios here, and then we're going to try to make it more practical. What about here? This is an interesting one. Now price is actually lower than where we've started, right? So price has actually moved lower than our initial entry, but we're running out of time and we're still probably about 0.5%. Well, also, we're still going to be 95 cent plus, even though price has actually moved down. Now, the point is, guys, this is what the reason I showed you all these theoretical examples that don't necessarily map to one thing or the other is to show you that both time relative to expiration and price relative to strikes, those are the two combinations that determine value. You can't figure out anything unless you have both. And then you can, maybe pile on some other factors like how high is the VIX and some things like that. Okay, but you can't really do anything without knowing time relative to expiration and price relative to the strikes. Those are the combinations because the options market is a probability machine. That's actually what it's measuring. It prices in the fact that when you're 30 days away from expiration, a stock can easily move down. So the coin flip math is not going to change easily, right? You can go up 1%, but it's still going to say, hey, listen, there's 30 days left here. The market could easily fall. It could even go up 3%. And yes, that will affect price, but it won't affect it near as much as if it's closer to the end of expiration and then moves higher the same way where you don't have the 30 days left. Okay. And again, that's because it's a probability machine. As it gets closer to expiration, those odds go down and down and down. Think of it like this. I'm going to stay theoretical for a minute here. Okay. If you guys are watching a football game and there's 60 minutes in the football game, right? And one team returns, let's say it's a coin flip game. Vegas has it as a 50-50. And the opening team returns the opening kick, the receiving team returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown. And they go up 7-0, but now there's 59-50 left in the game, right? Because they use no time off the clock. It was a 50-50 game. Now the odds are going to shift, right, Dave? Because a team's winning now. It was 0-0. Now it's 7-0. But they're not going to shift to now that team who scored 7 points has a 95% chance to win the game, right?
No, just a little better.
Just a little better. Now they have a 60% chance. Why? Because there's still 59 minutes left in the game. Well, Dave, what if I said the score is 24-24 and a team just scored to tie it and it's kicking off and now there's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the other team returns that for a touchdown.
Well, now the odds are a lot higher because there's only a few minutes left for the other team to make it up.
Right. Same thing in the options market. The price can be the same. It can go up 1% early in your trade, and the market, just like the Vegas odds, knows, yeah, you got 1% up, but listen, there's a lot of time here to spoil this thing. At the same time, it goes 1% up on the last day of the trade, just like the Vegas odds. The market knows, okay, now there's very little time left to spoil this thing and move it back down. Let me pause. Make sense? Everyone following the theoretical part so far?
John, Nate's the QB. Nate's always the QB.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the QB of the trades, which you guys can decide whether that's a good thing or a bad thing over time.
Don't tell Graham.
Yeah, I said, and I posted in Telegram. I said, you guys can ask us anything, including why Graham never got the starting job at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I saw that. I was laughing.
All right, everyone, good? Making sense? Cool. All right. Well, hopefully that theoretical hit. And what we're going to try to do now is move a little more practical. Still theoretical, but just a little more practical, because now we want to talk about what actually has to happen to hit some targets. So if you really want to think about the value of the spreads, you have to think of them as a probability percentage, right? That's really what matters, the probability percentage. And this is the part that I think people struggle with, but it's just the reality of the options market. If you enter a dollar-wide debit spread, let's say you pay 50 cents for it, and you put a target at 90 cents, what you guys are actually asking, this is really what you're asking. You're not asking theta, vega, anything else. What you're actually asking is the market to price in a 90% chance that that spread finishes in the money. That's the ask. Okay? Again, it's not you're asking for the VIX to come down and the price to do this. All of those things factor in. But what you're really asking is that for this thing to be worth 90 cents, the market has to say, hey, there's a 90+% probability that this thing finishes in the money. That's why it will be worth 90 cents. And I think people really struggle with that because they don't want to think in terms of percentage. They want to think in terms of, did it hit my line in the sand or did it not? But guys, that's not what you're doing when you put a target on. What you're really doing is asking the market to get you to a certain probability that then it validates the value of that trade in a way that you can now hit a target. So that is why your target on a debit spread looks like this. Okay? Even if your target doesn't move, which it won't, your target might be 80 cents. But that 80-cent target relative to price is going to look something like this. It's just like the football analogy, right? If you want a 90% chance for the team, an evenly matched team, to be winners in the first quarter, they need to score 28 points. They need to have a 28-0 lead in the first quarter, right? They have to go further. They have to mount a bigger lead earlier in the game. Hopefully this analogy is still sticking.
Yeah, I can maybe say it a second way, which is, right, your profit target stays the same. You're still trying to sell it for the same amount. You're trying to sell the option for the same amount. In order to sell that option, in order for that option to be worth that, if there's a lot of time left, the price has to be really high for that confidence to be high. If there's only a little time left, then it doesn't have to be quite so high for confidence to be high.
Right. And that will change in exactly this kind of curve in real time. So with no time left, with 30 days left in the trade, it needs to be up 5%. With 28 days, 4.6%. With 15 days, 2.8%. With 3 days left, 0.75%. With no days left, flat, right? It's going to actually move in exactly this kind of curve. The earlier in the trade, the bigger move you need. Example, overnight options. Okay, overnight options hit today. I got out for 94 cents, even though I had the entire day left, and it's a one-day trade to begin with, right? So I got out with the whole day left with 94 cents. Why? Because the SPY was up, which amazingly, the SPY now is down 1%. So, oh my goodness, did we play overnight options perfectly today. Give yourselves a round of applause if you hit a big winner on overnight options, because wow, we are now negative. I cannot believe we are now negative. And by the way, same thing on your automated option Qs trade. Unbelievable. So that's the power of doing that. We were up here and the market said, well, there's almost no chance this ends up below. And so it gave us a very high percentage value. And now the market did drop, but we got to our target in this space. Now, this to kind of bring this full circle and make it really practical, this is what makes the weekend option strategy really, really cool. Okay. Here's a sneak peek into that weekend option trade and what makes it so dynamite, in my opinion. With weekend options, we're working with all the same scenarios that I just told you about, right? All the same. The market has to move, the probabilities change, all of that sort of stuff. We're setting up a trade just like this, with a target scenario just like this. Same thing that Dave and I just talked about, right? It has to move a lot. As you get closer, it has to move less. In the weekend option scenario, our trade goes Friday at the end of the day to Monday. Okay, so reorient your mind to see this as about 72 hours, actually less than that, because we're getting in at the end of the day. That's the window of time here. But notice how the timeline prices in the weekend. And this is exactly how it does. It prices in just like a normal trade. Friday at 3 p.m. is here. Monday at market close is here, which, contrary to common belief, actually tend not to move all that much. Weekends price in lots of volatility, but not because the average weekend moves all that much. It's because the outlier weekends move a ton, and the market has to price all those outlier moves in to the average weekend expectation. And so you get these big moves, but actually most weekends don't move that much. And here, this is what I promise you the cool part. Here's where it gets pretty cool. And Dave, you can let me know if it's as cool as I think it is, because I think this is crazy cool. So we set up the trade here, right? Well, when Monday opens, our first candle of the trade is all the way over here, right? So we get the value of all this time decay when there is actually no market happening. The market is closed, but we still get this line moving towards our target. And that's another way I like to think of it. I like to think of it as time is moving toward our target, all things being equal. So let me go back to that chart for a second. So time is moving toward our target in the situation here. When Monday opens, if the market did absolutely nothing, we're pretty much at our target with all else being equal on the weekend option, because we're getting value for all this time when the market was closed. And that, if you want to think of it conceptually, there's a lot of things that go into weekend options, but that's really where the magic happens.
This might be a good time to answer a question that came up once or twice in the chat, which you want to talk about time working for you or against you, depending upon whether you're buying or selling?
Yeah. So in our situation, it's actually not even whether you're buying or selling, really. It's what side of the line you're on. So a debit spread that starts below price, time starts on your side. And as long as price stays above that, what we call that line in the sand, time is working on your behalf. It's moving this way. If you were to put your line in the sand up here, where, price is down here, you enter the trade, you need it to move above that. Now time is not working on your side. Time is working against you until you cross over, and then it flips. It's the same thing, by the way, if you sold, it would just be going the other direction. So it's not really buying or selling. It's what side of the line are you on? Are you on the positive side where if it's expired today, it's a win at this moment? That's really the question you have to ask. If the trade expired right this moment, am I a winner or am I a loser? If I'm a winner, then time is starting to work on your behalf. If I'm a loser, then time is still fighting against you. And with debit spreads, when you're on the losing side, time isn't destroying you like it is on a regular call option. And that's really the big benefit. As soon as you cross back over, you're into a full profit. So this is really what's cool about weekend options. We'll talk about weekend options here. I almost always give you guys one chance to get into weekend options on Friday opening playbook, just because it's a dynamite strategy, and the trade's going to come out here in a couple hours. But I just kind of wanted to practically show a sneak peek of why this is so powerful, where you get all this value, and if the market opens up with nothing happening, we're basically at our target because that line is moving toward you the entire time. So we'll do that for those of you who are not in weekend options, as I try to do on most Fridays. We'll give you that opportunity. But first, I'll take as much time as you guys want here, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, for this Ask Me Anything session. I know the stream here is maybe a couple seconds delayed. So if you guys have a question, you can post it in. I'll play the Jeopardy music while we're waiting for those to come in. If there are any questions or tickers or things of that nature. In the meantime, Dave, how did I do? Did I land the plane on that weekend options example?
I think you landed it well. I think, although it stayed fairly theoretical, we didn't get into too much actual practical numbers. So I think it landed pretty well, though. On the theoretical was pretty digestible.
Yeah, my practical, maybe I wasn't as practical as hoping. My practical was trying to show the actual target line, how it actually moves. We could cover an example, though. We could cover our overnight option, for example. Let me see if I can pull it up in a way that would easily show. Oh my goodness, the SPY right now. This is wild. Okay. So let's see if we can do this. And by the way, AMD now down 6.7%, folks. Unbelievable. Glad we hit some target. JD, hats off to JD. He said it's going to pop in the morning and then sell off. Oh my goodness. Did he call that? All right. Yep. Let me,
he's the timing guy.
yeah. Wow. Let me share this window
to newbie, and I'm not saying that derogatorily. That's the actual username to newbie. On shotgun trades, we generally set a 50% target, except last night on GEV we set 100% target on that particular one. Sometimes we don't set a target if one of them is a hedge, but that's not normally, we're not normally doing that on shotgun trades. We're not normally hedging. We're just kind of spraying and hoping the numbers balance out in our favor.
All right. So this is the SPY. I'm on a 5-minute or 15-minute chart, rather, just to show you. So on here, we did this trade yesterday. We were at, what were we at? 647. Was that our? So we were kind of like in this. Oop, that didn't work. We were like in this range. So something like this. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but someone could tell me in the chat what our actual number was. I think it was 646, 647. So this box here, I'll make it a little more colorful. This box here is where we set up the trade. We bought the call here. We sold the call here. And we basically said, listen, if price stays above this top level through expiration, which by the way would be to right here, the end of this line, because this is our day, that's a winning trade. Anything above that is a winning trade. Now, we entered the trade over here. Okay, so we entered the trade 330. Let me stretch my box to give it a more accurate. We entered the trade over here, and we paid about 70 cents for the trade. Because remember, we're paying what the spread is worth at that time. And since it's already above the price, it's valuing it relatively high, about 70 cents. Then we put a target in for 85 cents. Now, the market moved up overnight, which is exactly what we want. That's exactly what went to happen in overnight options. And so when it got up to here, it was basically saying, here, I'll draw another box. It was basically saying, okay, at this price, when we took the trade, I click that. At this price, this is worth 70 cents. You have this little box of room, the cushion above the price. That's worth 70 cents to the market, saying, hey, there's a 70% chance it's going to finish above that line in the sand. Right at the start, there's a 70% chance. That's why you got to pay the 70 cents for it. But when the market opened over here, now there is a way bigger cushion on this trade. Okay, we started with this amount of cushion above the blue box. When the market opened, there was this amount of cushion. So the price went from 70 cents to 95 cents because that's how much cushion we got on the trade. And so the value went up. We traded from 70. I got out at 95. That's like a 30% ROI with about 2 minutes of market action because this was all overnight in the gray here. And then amazingly, the market actually is now below that line in the sand. Now, here's the thing. There's still pretty good odds the market's going to finish above this, right? So even though it's now below it, it's probably still worth 44 cents or something if you were to hold on to it. It's not worth zero because there's still a decent chance it's going to finish above. But we got out when it was worth 95 cents. So what we did is we traded that exact scenario. The rectangle. Can I draw a triangle on this thing? I don't think I can.
Not with the line tool.
Yeah. Okay. So it was something like this, right? The market opened here. So this is where we can get out. That's not a line. Hold on. This is why I use TradingView when I'm trying to do these kind of things, because I can make my thing so much prettier. The line was really dramatic. It was something like this because we're doing a one-day trade, right? So the timeline is going to be really dramatic. We got 95 cents up here, but if it was all the way down here, it would also be worth 95 cents, even though it's almost 1% below because there's no time left and it's still above this blue box. So hopefully that's a little bit more practical, and you guys can kind of see the conceptual come into a real trade there. Okay. What conditions do we look at? So Go Jackets asked, what conditions do we look at? All of my conditions are mathematical and probability based. So I'm not looking at indicators. I'm not looking at price action. I don't even care about the trend in overnight options, for example. Weekend options has a couple filters. In overnight options, I don't even care about the trend. All I care about is whether the mathematical option fits the criteria. And if it does, we take the trades.
I'm trying to answer most of the questions here. There was one about that was completely unrelated to what we're doing, but was about if you have any timeline on the alerts for Income Machine yet.
Yes, my tentative timeline is 2 weeks. We got all the criteria solved, and we have a couple tests, but we have to actually make sure that it's not pulling some erroneous ones, which does happen when you're using that kind of filtering logic where it'll grab a trade because it flashes, but it hasn't actually gotten all the criteria met. So we're working on that.
The weekend options is a program unto itself. We're gonna do a demonstration of that in detail in just a couple of minutes, and that will tell you how you can get into that. That's how you get those alerts.
Yep. Yes. So stick around if you want to hear about weekend options. Like I said, I always try to give people an opportunity to do that on Fridays because the trade's going to come out in just a couple hours. Now, one of the big questions about overnight options, I think I saw at least twice, maybe 3 times, is what if you can't get in at the end of the day? Because price moves a lot in the last hour of the market. So sometimes you have to chase it. Sometimes it means you get a better price, but sometimes it means you're getting a worse price. Well, a couple rules of thumb there. Number one, try not to chase it more than about 5%. That's my personal rule of thumb. So in overnight options, that's usually just 2 or 3 pennies, right? If you have a 70-cent debit, you're going to pay maybe 73 cents at the max for it. But the other thing, and the bigger kind of behind the scenes idea here, is I'm actually developing a tool for that. It's going to give you the exact spread in real time. It'll let you kind of front run me because it'll be open at 3 p.m. versus 3:30. And it'll spit out the exact recommended trade based on the mathematical trade logic. We are very, very, very close on that. We've been close for all week. We just can't quite get a few of the data points finalized on the output, but it's functioning, and that will be out within a couple of days. And that will be a game changer for all you guys saying, hey, I got the trade at 70, but now it's 72. Should I move the spread up? Should I pay a couple pennies more? It'll do all that for you. And like I said, you could even do it a couple minutes ahead of time if you kind of want to front run me on that side of things. So looking forward to take advantage of that. A couple days max, couple work days max away from getting that tool together, which is going to be awesome. GEV chart someone asked for, and it is ugly. Not as ugly as AMD though. Check out AMD. Oh my goodness, is that an ugly chart? But GEV down about 5%. I don't think we're going to be hitting our target on GEV if I had to go out on a limb here. Bitcoin opened up nicely, but selling off as well. There's Bitcoin, hit 113.8 on the futures, all the way back down to the 111s. But like I told you guys yesterday on Closing Playbook, that 110 futures level that we got, that zone is a really nice bounce zone. We got a nice big fat bounce off that 110K level. Tom, no separate Telegram group for weekend options. I post it in my main Telegram when the alert's there, but it's not a separate Telegram. It just goes right into there. JPM, let's take a look. JPM. Whoo! That one's ugly too. Wow. These charts are hideous. Rob, yes. Yes. SPX will be in the tool automatically. AVGO.
Lisa, so if it gaps up and you sell it, it depends on, you're not necessarily going to get the max value out of it because of the reason that Nathan was just talking about a couple of minutes ago. If it doesn't expire till the end of the day, you might still have 5% of the value on that time. So, if it gaps up overnight and you get out of it in the beginning of the day on expiration day, you might get 95% of the total value because the 100% is really going to be at the end of the day, expiration day. But
I think she's asking though, if she has a target for 85, is it just going to fill at 85? So I think is what she's basically saying. Hey, if it opens and your target's already there, aren't you just going to get what your target is at? And the answer there is you actually can get filled above your target. Now the market's going to, or the broker's basically going to give you the worst price, like the bottom of the barrel price. So what I do, and Lisa, if you look at my Telegram, another reason to be my Telegram, here's the message that I sent. I said, if you got the overnight option trade, it's over 61. Feel free to cancel your target and get a little extra profit on this one. Rule of thumb is to wait a minute and then just go for the current price. So Lisa, check this out. This is what I would recommend doing. I usually try to give a little heads up in Telegram. When we get that, all we're doing is canceling that order so that we don't get the bottom of the barrel price and get a little extra juice out of it like we did this morning. So hopefully that answers the question.
So
Gibby, dramatically different. Weekend options is directional over the weekend. Premium based two-way options is designed for more volatility to catch a move in either direction. Yeah, so Mike said he kept his target on. He still got filled at 91. So he probably could have got 94, but he got the bottom end of the bid ask. The broker is legally required to fill you for the price that they're actually trading. They're just going to give you the worst of the prices that it's actually trading at. Jacqueline, no, I only do that if we get a big gap up where I'm very confident that the market is going to be able to fill me with some extra money. Okay, Sam got 91 too. Good job. Great job, guys. Clyde got 93. Nice. Well done. Well done. Jason, that's the overnight options tool that I am so close to being done with. So very, very close. Steve, if we're going to play the entire weekend presentation, there's a whole bunch of examples in that presentation. So, Dave, do you see anything? We can roll right into that. Wow, 92, 93. Great job, guys. 96.
Yeah, we can roll.
Okay.
Roll into it.
Yeah, let's roll. A lot of questions about the weekend. Great job on overnight options, guys. Great job getting the extra cash. Let's look forward to taking advantage of the weekend options. That's next on our hit list to try to keep a beautiful streak alive. And thanks everyone for being here.
Thank you, Nate. Here we go, guys.
It's crazy, especially Nate, in 2025, we've seen some insane weekend volatility.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike 2024, 2020, like we had not seen that for years. But you're up 100% win rate so far in 2025. Love to see it. Well, if that's you guys, you want in on the action, well, it all starts by taking a close look at this redacted document. What you're looking at here is a special perk set up by the Chicago Board of Options Exchange just recently. It's a perk that now allows everyday folks to target extra income over the weekend from any regular brokerage account. Now, I'm talking about payouts that the study shows were worth $1,030 on average in extra income each and every weekend. So this means while the rest of the world is left empty-handed on Saturday and Sunday while the stock market is closed, we have an opportunity to target some extra income over the weekend while still getting the most out of life. Like on August 9th, you could have taken a few minutes to place a quick trade before the weekend, hit the lake for some weekend fun. That's what I'm doing this weekend. And came back Monday with an extra $1,052 sitting in the brokerage account from the weekend income. Then the next weekend came, August 16th. You could have set your trade, caught the classic car show over the weekend, and woke up Monday with the crisp $883 in weekend income. Then a few days go by and you can do it all again. Friday, August 23rd, the next Friday, hit a few buttons on the phone or laptop to get in before the weekend hits. Maybe
That's what I'll be doing this weekend.
There you go. Catch around with golf with some friends. I'm too bad to play golf. I just go to the driving range and that's about it. Try and get past 10 feet. Dinner and live music for the evening and brunch the next morning. Whatever it is you like to do. When Monday came, instead of dreading the start of the week, folks could have come back to an extra $1,090 in weekend income. Pretty awesome. Now, before I get carried away, let me be the first person to say this. I'll say it again. Said it a few times today. There's nothing guaranteed in the markets. There's no instant income magic pill. Just like with anything in the stock market, there will be winners and losers along the way. That's why for the next few minutes, I want you to forget about being the next overnight millionaire, because financial freedom doesn't happen overnight. It can happen bit by bit, weekend after weekend. And with what my special guest is about to share with you today, well, our hope is that your weekends could be a little more enjoyable, knowing that when Monday hits, we're out of the trade. So think about this. What if there was a way to target an extra $1,030 on average in extra income each and every weekend, all by taking a few minutes to set the position before the weekend hits and clocking out on Monday? Well, thanks to a shocking discovery found inside this special document by today's special guest, it's now possible. So welcome to the quick presentation we're going to have here on weekend options so we can get you set up with the first trade, your first trade to take before the closing bell today. Now, like I mentioned a moment ago, my name is Graham Lindman. You might recognize me from my flagship strategy, the Perfect Apple Trade, which has reached over 100,000 people worldwide, or maybe you've heard of my wrap orders, which has helped folks see doubles in their trading. Now, given my track record, I don't normally take trade recommendations from other people, but the premise of this new way of generating income over the weekend was so different that I had to explore it. It's a legal way to target extra cash over the weekend while most folks are out there making zilch. I don't trade over the weekend. I'm making nothing. So if you're looking for a way to target some extra income to maybe pay for everyday expenses or just boost up the retirement nest egg or just grow the account, that's what I like to do, just grow my account, then this may be perfect for you. Now, the man behind this discovery is no rookie when it comes to the stock market. Not only did he publicly grow a $10,000 stake to north of $50,000 over the course of about 4 months, he did it publicly in Telegram, but he also earned another $100,000 last year in his investment and dividend portfolio alone. And over the last few years, he's been on a mission to help everyday folks tap into the same methods that have been kept away from the average Joe. And just hear some of these stories. These are people who've been taking these weekend options, by the way. Cindy made $1,200 last week. Karen, a winner, as you know, made $1,230. Carl says Nate and his team are doing a tremendous job, up over $4,000. Now, those are some of the stories from students following along with none other than the up-and-coming trading icon.
Wow,
Nate,
trading icon. Wow.
yeah, and look at that smile. What a good smile there, Nate. Look at that.
Icon. All right. All right. Well, as always, great to be on Opening Playbook and giving out opportunities. And thanks to a huge room today. Love it that you guys are here on a Friday. And today, my goal really is to empower you. That's what my goal is with everything I do, and to show you after just a couple minutes and a couple clicks inside your brokerage account, you really can start targeting your very own weekend cash flow from the stock market. Something that I had never done until recently. One that shows the power to pay $1,030 on average each weekend. There's an opportunity. And the timing for this brand new briefing couldn't be any better. Right now, we all know some of the hardest times for folks getting hit with inflation. Costs keep going up. Savings are at the lowest level since 2008. And even if you got a raise last year, as I always say, probably doesn't feel like it. It probably isn't making much of a difference at the end of the day. Thanks to inflation, we're seeing things like credit card debt hit all-time highs, highest since 2008, highest ever, some reports. And that's left folks looking anywhere they can to generate extra income to cover the bills. It's almost impossible to keep up with the ever-rising cost of living anymore, especially when my wife's buying $10 organic milk by the gallon. It's unbelievable. And most folks think that the only way to generate extra income is by picking up a second job at Costco or working overtime hours and late weekend nights. But with what I'm about to share, and my true hope is that you can start targeting your very own weekend cash flow right from the comfort of your sofa or your living room or your RV or whatever it is. And right now, like I said, everyone could use some extra cash flow. It doesn't matter if you have a multi-million-dollar retirement account or just starting out with a few $1,000s. All you need is a standard brokerage account, internet connection, or just, service on your cell phone, and a few minutes to set the trade before the weekend every Friday. In just a few minutes, I'm going to help you get started with your first chance at weekend cash flow. Before we get there, let's take a walk back down memory lane here, going back to September of last year. Now, going into the month of September, the stock market took a pretty ugly hit. I'm sure you guys remember what August looked like last year. Let's say someone had $5,000 invested, which is the amount we'll use for all the trade examples that we go through today. At the beginning of September, the S&P was already in the middle of a pretty ugly fall. Folks taking that trusty buy and hold route would have been down about $204 by the first, week there just in September. But if you'd have went with the weekend cash flow method instead, very different story for the first week of September. While the S&P 500 was plummeting, you could have actually ended up with a $3,039 trade over the weekend. That's a juicy one there. And when the next weekend rolled around, not much different. Weekend of September 16th, the market, gold, Bitcoin, all flat over the weekend, really earning next to nothing as you're holding anything. But with what I'm going to show you today, using that same weekend, you could have actually hit it out of the park on this particular trade. In this case, by Monday morning, would have had another $803 sitting in your account on September 16th.
That's awesome. Nate, between those two trades alone, we're looking at $3,842 in extra income. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, an extra $3,800, especially after just 2 weekends, that's a meaningful chunk of change. Since the pandemic, we've seen this. The cost of living has gone skyward, out of control. Housing prices are ridiculous. We've watched
ridiculous.
Average cost of a new mortgage went from $1,400 a month to $2,317 a month. That's a huge, huge difference. It's $900 more every single month. And it's not like people have a lot of extra change laying around to cover the difference, not unless you're sitting on a pretty good nest egg to begin with. And wouldn't you much rather invest that $900 a month than blow it on a mortgage? It's just painful. But folks who would have taken advantage of the weekend cash flow method could have more than covered the cost of the average monthly mortgage without needing to slave away at a desk job, working extra hours to make it happen. Instead, you could have done it all while enjoying life to the fullest over the weekend. Maybe you live by the beach and you can go hit a hammock like this guy. And keep in mind that $3,842 would have come while every major index, crypto, and even bonds were in the toilet. So, Nate, can you share a little bit more about how this is all possible?
All right, absolutely. First, let me just be clear about this. If you have a job, I'm certainly not telling you to quit it. If you've been steadily saving for retirement, like I know most of you in here are, please don't stop doing that. What I'm sharing today, like almost everything I do, is meant to help supplement your income. Okay, so this is an edge that's meant to add to what you're doing. And it's using a technique that I really don't think anyone else is using for these weekend opportunities. And if you're here right now, you're probably a pretty smart individual. Hopefully all of our people are. And you know what I'm about to say next, which is that there's always risk in any strategy, winning weeks and losing weeks. That's why we worked extra hard to optimize the method that's producing this weekend cash flow. Now, of course, no one can guarantee future returns. But the cool thing is when you account for all of the weekends, okay, so winners and losers included from our entire study, we're looking at what could have been an extra $1,030 in extra income each weekend. We've had an opportunity going all the way back through our study, just like the next weekend, September 20th. Had you taken a few minutes to place the trade before the markets closed on Friday, just like we'll do today, you could have headed out to catch your favorite team playing on Saturday, then relaxed a bit on Sunday. That was a great game, by the way. We crushed SMU. Yeah.
Nice hat.
It was like literally 5 degrees. And then come back after the weekend, after crushing SMU in a college playoff game, it's a nice $847 sitting there. No offense to SMU fans. They're actually a great school, but it was great to see them crush them. Anyway, following weekend, we had September 27th. Maybe place a quick trade from the phone. We were playing some golf, getting out there on the course early on a Friday, which I was hoping to do today. We'll see. And then hit another $1,000 by the time Monday rolled around.
Nate, let me just pause you again real quick. Showed us a couple more awesome trades. Now, the average household, to go back on this, $5,000 a month in expenses. And I think that's a pretty good, I know my household is slightly over that amount.
Slightly. I wish my house was $5,000.
Yeah. Now, I'm talking about things like healthcare, food, transportation, clothing, electricity, just the bare necessities. Meanwhile, the average monthly income in the U.S. really hasn't grown that much over the last few years, $4,340 a month. Now, if you look at that, you can do quick math and say, this doesn't really add up. People can't really keep up. It's mathematically impossible, and it's a huge income gap many folks can't fill right now. And maybe, I hope no one here is feeling super behind, but maybe you just feel like you can't save as much, and that's a big deal. But your weekend cash flow method could help everyday people help fill the income cap and then some, hopefully grow their income. In the month of September alone, with the trades that happened back to back to back, we're looking at what could have been more than the average Joe brings in each month. So 1 month with the weekend cash flow, $5,667. Pretty awesome. And in this example for that month, more than enough to cover the average monthly expenses, meaning the money that you worked your tail off to earn, that paycheck you're getting, you can actually use it for things you want to spend it on instead of just, sending it out to pay the electricity bill, or maybe just building up the rainy day fund.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm so excited. And by the way, that's based on the $5,000 per trade, but you can trade these with much less if you want. And so I think it's for anyone and everyone, and that's why I've been so excited about this project. So I want to show you how to actually unlock this opportunity hidden within what the CBOE did just recently, so that you can take advantage of this consistent weekend cash flow right away, starting literally today. And based on my research, you're not going to be able to target these types of steady returns really anywhere else. It really is unique to the weekend. Most financial advisors or your local finance guru might lead you to think that the only way to hit your retirement goal is going to be to stash away money in the trusty S&P, which, no offense to the S&P, it's great, or mutual funds, and then just hope that you have enough time and good enough returns where you can retire. Just cross your fingers and hope for the best. But unfortunately, that's really not getting the job done anymore for most people. And we heard so many stories recently of people saying exactly this. 6% annually, it's going to take you 41 years to turn $100,000 into, $1 million where you can hopefully retire. And by the way, you probably can't. Like Citizens Bank said, you'll need a whole lot more than just the $1 million if you want to retire comfortably. They suggested 1.8 million is now the average to retire comfortably in the US, which is nearly twice as much money all of a sudden as you need, which is why millions of people, young and old, have been forced to delay their retirement. That stat's pretty sad. They're about 40% of people heading back to the workforce. So forget about retiring at 65. I mean, most folks are going to be in their 70s, and a lot of people into their 80s. And that's why, whether you're retired or just starting out, hopefully this catches your attention today about trying to build some extra cash flow, fill that gap, and figure out a more active way to get ahead, which is what my goal is, and hopefully targeting extra income over the weekend. Well, most folks are left without a way to earn an extra buck from the markets helps get you there. So far, the results have been absolutely outstanding. Success rate north of 90% from the study. 9 out of 10 so far going all the way back, and 10 out of 10 so far on the live money trades, which means we can target this weekend income regardless if the stock market goes up, down, or flat. So take the first week of December, for example. First week, the market was flat. Okay, see there, it started up, bopped down, finished flat, $1,929 in weekend income. Then we had the next weekend where the market moved up. That one still worked beautifully, $775 there right before Christmas. And each weekend, we have the same opportunity. Like the very next weekend, when the stock market actually went quite a bit down, this one was the 27th through the 30th, still would have had a really nice payout, $1,037. And as I'll show you, thanks to a special type of trade over the weekend, we're actually able to collect even if the market does go slightly against us.
Well, Nate, in the case of these December examples, we could have a chance to pocket extra income over the weekend, regardless if they were flat, up, or down. And again, like I said, 2025 has been one of the most volatile years, and you're hitting with a 100% win rate. So clearly this is working in all directions. And keep in mind, folks, you could have spent the weekend doing some things you love to do, like Nate. Maybe that means taking your kids or grandkids to the ballpark, checking out some national parks over the weekend, or maybe it means coming down to one of Nate's world-class coaching sessions to hang out with other awesome traders just like you. However, you choose to spend your weekend, that's your choice, knowing that Monday has just become your new favorite day of the week. So, Nate, go ahead, spill the beans. What's making this all possible?
Well, like we said, it's all about what the CBOE has allowed us to do pretty recently now in this document. In fact, up to this announcement, the weekend cash flow opportunity literally was impossible to trade. You and I could not do this trade from regular brokerage, but now they've unlocked it for the everyday Joe for years and years to come. What the CBOE did was that they launched daily options on a few tickers that we can now target income over the weekend. Literally didn't exist before. And don't worry, you have access, if you guys don't know, in your regular brokerage account. They're already listed there for you. Now, these daily options allow us to specifically target income over the weekend, closing out on Monday, which is super important. If everything works out, we have a chance to target, about $1,030 by the time Monday hits. Just like the first weekend of 2025 that you were just referencing, all we had to do was make sure the trade was set January 3rd before the market closed for the weekend. Sure enough, by the time Monday hit and the cash fund settled, it would have been another winner in the books, $2,807 on that one. And don't worry, placing your trade with weekend cash flow is no different than trading, Apple, Amazon, anything else.
Well, Nate, I love this strategy. And I mean, this weekend income seems so predictable. You've been hitting with a 100% win rate. Is it even possible to lose?
Yeah, obviously, yes. We always have to be clear and bang this drum a lot of times. No strategy wins all the time. I love the weekend option. I've been trading with a little more capital, but I'm not going to go all in on one trade. I expect that eventually we'll take a loss. So my goal is to do everything in my power to limit those losses because I'm trading these with my own money. Who wants to take a losing trade, right? So we worked incredibly hard to try to perfect this method for both the good times and the bad. Actually, Graham even helped with some of the reporting there. And I'm happy to report that after analyzing 2 years of data, the final study shows incredible returns. Small account friendly, average position about $200, actually about $180. $1,030 is the average payout. So that's based on a $5,000 stake. So, about around a 20% ROI over.
And that's winners and losers.
That's winners and losers. So about a 20% average ROI. What Graham was talking about, how much can you rack up ROI? Well, that's 20% in one market session on average. Pretty crazy average return if you do the math on that. And then my favorite part, of course, is that really high win rate because it's nice going into a trade expecting to win when it settles.
Well, Nate, those are some remarkable results, but you're being a little bit too humble here because, well, you forgot to mention that so far you said 94% win rate. Well, so far in the live publicly shares trades, you are undefeated. And folks following along with the weekend cash flow method, they are loving it. Listen to these people. Dan J says, I love that the S&P doesn't have to be positive for the trade to work. He's 4-0 on the weekend trades. Thanks for all your input. Steve has done it twice, 2 wins, $900 in the bank. Linda says, perfect. She went in with $350 and it closed automatically while she was prepping lunches for the kids. Simple and perfect. Thank you. Emery did 30 contracts, made $1,629 over one weekend. Carrie says, keep up the great work. He made $1,700 over a weekend. So people are loving it. People are making money. Nate, tell everyone here, how does this really work?
Okay, so first, and I say this all the time, you have to understand when people talk about options, usually the default is to think about buying options. But instead of just buying options outright, like most people do, most people are stuck with level 1 access. I use a special type of trade on these daily options to collect premiums on other people's risky bets. And no, it's not naked options. We're not open-ended risk. So think about all the massive insurance companies out there like Allstate or Progressive, some of the best companies in the world. All they do is sit back and collect insurance premiums month after month after month. We're doing the exact same thing, but just in the stock market. Taking a weekend paycheck by collecting premiums on all the other people who are taking those risky bets time and time again. But the way I collect these premiums is very unique based on what we figured out from the weekend. So when the CBOE listed these daily options, all expirations Monday through Friday, they calculated a standard amount of premium for each day. If you're entering on Monday, looking to, take advantage of those Tuesday premiums, you're going to collect 1 day worth of premium. If you're entering on Tuesday, collecting income from the Wednesday option, obviously you're collecting 1 day worth of premium, so on and so forth. Each day has a premium. Now, most people do this because it's easy and simple, but they don't realize how much money they could be leaving on the table because, frankly, there's a better and safer way to do it. You see, by entering before the weekend, so that's on the Friday, and then collecting the Monday income, okay, the ones expiring on Monday, we're getting the bonus premiums from holding it over the weekend, which is like instantly tripling the amount of premium that you can target in the same situation. And because the market is closed on Saturday and Sunday, we're actually able to sidestep a lot of the market action, even though it's priced into those options, and still get paid for all 3 days of holding the trade. Just like January 10th, the very next weekend from where we left off, you could have spent your week, staring at charts, banging your head against a brick wall, trying to find an edge, figure out what's going to happen over the weekend. Or you could have taken 2 minutes, place the trade, go for those bonus weekends over the weekend on Friday, and then got off and hopefully actually enjoyed your weekend instead of panicking about your open positions. And sure enough, while most folks lost money that particular weekend as the S&P went down, the weekend cash flow method would have pocketed another $1,057 winner over that same exact weekend. Now, of course, you can't go blindly pick options to make this happen. If that were the case, I think everyone would have figured it out by now. I'll just trade every Friday and I'm going to be rich. You have to know which trades you're going to place. And I'm going to show you everything you need to know to start targeting your very own weekend cash flow right away. Because right now, I'm pretty sure everyone can use extra cash flow like we started talking about at the beginning. Doesn't matter where you live, who you have a brokerage account with, whether you've been trading for a decade like I have, or you're just getting started, does not matter, because I put together a step-by-step workshop that shows you exactly how you can get started with weekend options, taking advantage of this weekend cash flow. It includes full details from how to place your first trade, how to upgrade your account for options, how to manage your risk so that you can start using the technique in your account today. And I'd like to invite you to access the workshop today and get your hands on it before the weekend actually hits so that you can start taking advantage of this weekend cash flow right away. And once you get your hands on the step-by-step course, you'll be shocked at how clear-cut it really is. I mean, it really is straightforward and simple once you get the strategy. You'll immediately be able to start using it this very weekend, just like you could have done on February 21st as we keep rolling through these 2025 examples. After just a few buttons, you could have locked and loaded the trade for the weekend and just selected the trade, send it off, and go back to your normal day. Like I said, hopefully enjoy the weekend a little bit. And sure enough, by the time Monday rolled around, another beauty here, $1,491 would have hit the account, by the way, automatically with the way that we do these trades.
That's amazing. And any regular brokerage account does work, right?
Of course. In fact, the government even allows this unique strategy in retirement accounts. Got to have your options permissions, but you can do it in any kind of account.
Well, Nate, I have to tell you, this weekend cash flow method is something that I definitely want to start trying right away. In fact, I've been doing it for a couple of weekends now, Nate, and I'm excited for this new trade. And the stories from your students following along are nothing short of remarkable. Mike Pease taking 3 trades, all winners. Doug says, I played both trades since joining. He's made $1,090. Fossa says, low risk, high reward. Have taken all 3 of the weekend options trades and have been profitable. Thanks. Kurt M's been a subscriber for 3 weeks. He's had 4 trades and 4 wins. Craig started his month with $3,000, and using the weekend options, his balance has grown to $7,480 for the month.
Yeah, I love the stories. Craig, Kurt, Doug, and I think we've had about 400 others so far from people tapping into the opportunity over the weekend, most folks who had never traded over a weekend. And that's why I agreed to do this again, to make sure as many people can get in before this very weekend and show you how to start using the weekend cash flow method, not just this weekend, but every weekend to boost their income potential. So today you can claim access to the workshop and start implementing this unique strategy in your own account just by subscribing to our weekend income service, what I call weekend options, and have that beautiful beach there that we saw some guys at the hammock enjoying, which is what I hope you guys are doing on your weekend. Now, this service is solely dedicated to targeting extra income over the weekend. It's the only thing we do in this service is target that extra income over the weekend, thanks to that special perk set up by the CBOE not too long ago, and one that has shown the power to pay $1,030 on average in extra income each weekend that there's an opportunity. Now, today, I'm hoping about 50 new people join from all walks of life. We've got plenty of people in here to hit our goal, whether you've been investing for years or you're just getting started. Every single week, I'm going to give you my best weekend income opportunity, one that I personally recommend to friends and family, one that I trade with my own money, and each one based on the same method that our study shows that paid $1,030 on average, winners and losers each weekend. There's a setup. Now, I'm holding nothing back. Every alert, like all the stuff that I do, it breaks it down for you step by step by step. The ticker, when to place the trade, the options criteria, entry, exit. Guys, it is all in there packaged up in the alert. Each income alert has clear instructions on how to place the trade. Guys, I'm doing all the heavy work because I'm trading these myself. Okay, so I'm just doing all the heavy lifting, find the trade, and packaging it up. And then you'll just read the alert and follow along if you want to any given weekend. Just like if we keep rolling along here, we got our next weekend, February 28th. I would have sent the alert right to your inbox right at the end of the day on Friday. Had you taken the trade, you could have spent your weekend, hopefully, working on your short game, which I desperately need to do. Maybe practicing for the next pickleball tournament. Graham, we actually put a pickleball court here at the compound.
Oh boy.
We were playing the other day. So great thing to do. And by the time Monday hit, whether you were playing pickleball, working on your short game, or just hanging out, I would have had an extra $929 sitting in the account. And don't feel like you need to be sitting next to your computer all day long either. Actually, one of my favorite things about this trade is it's so repeatable. Comes out each Friday right around 3 p.m. So you know when to check for the alert. You're not busy, waiting and hoping. You know exactly when it's going to come. And I want your experience with weekend options to be as hands-free as possible. Now, alongside the email alerts, you're also going to get a cell phone text, a telegram alert, just so that even if you're out and about, you can always take advantage of that weekend trade. Maybe you're on the golf course. You want to get that trade and make sure you don't miss it. And just to make it even better, we also have a little perk built in here with the extended hours. So I'm using weekend options on tickers that we can trade beyond the market close. And I'll talk through that in that members class if you go watch it right now, which talks about how that extra 15 minutes after the market closes is a nice little bonus that we get ramping up our opportunity over every weekend trade we take.
Awesome. So you don't have to rush in. You know what to expect. Every Friday, 3 p.m. Guys, look at your calendar right now. What day is it today? It's here. It's time for the next one. Nate, I love how easy you've made this for the new members, and your students love these opportunities. Jurel, here's what he said about the alerts. Love the worry-free, good to cancel targets for double-digit singles versus anxiety-producing swings for the fences. I do like having that set time to look for your recommendation. Greg G wrote in, he's enjoying that 100% win rate so far. He said, I love how clear your instructions are. They're easy to follow. And just by looking at the performance so far, this program is worth its weight in gold. I mean, this strategy is so good that it hasn't seen a single loser in over 6 months. And guys, think about that. Think about the first 6 months of this year. Wasn't there some losing going on? Wasn't there some crazy time? This one hasn't seen a loser in over 6 months. And it's not like you're going for measly returns here either. Folks, look at how some of the months stacked up. November with the 3 trades, $2,320. December, 3 more trades, $3,743. January, you had one every single weekend. So 4 for 4 there, $5,667. February, you had 3 weekends, $5,009. And we can go on because the more recent trades, the ones you've been sharing publicly with your students, you've maintained that perfect win streak, 100% win rate through March, April, May, and so far in June. And this isn't like missing out on Amazon in 1999. These are opportunities that just happen. So Nate, I have to know, will the new membership cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year?
Well, obviously, with our strategy and our win rate so far, I think it's worth whatever price we put on it. 5, 6. I don't know. What's a perfect win rate worth to you, I guess. But before we talk price, I actually want to highlight maybe one of the biggest benefits of being a member of Weekend Options. Something that we really didn't talk a lot, but I think it takes Weekend Options to a whole new level. Now, while we normally target extra income over the weekend, closing out on Monday, that's what you've heard all these examples. Sometimes the trade is so good, we actually get paid before the weekend even hits, which are certainly my favorite trades. So this happened, for example, on May 31st. So we put the trade on May 31st with that, looking to close out on Monday, and it actually paid us that same day on Friday before the market even closed, $818. Okay, then we had one for Friday, July 28th. That was last year. Same thing, $909 paid the same day. Or March 7th, $943, same thing. So imagine having gone into the weekend. You already have the cash in hand. You're not even waiting to see what happens over the weekend. And some of the folks in here don't have to imagine. They actually experienced this pretty recently with one of our trades. Won the trade, got in, won it on Friday, hit the target early. Those are from people who took the trade on Friday and before the weekend even started, already had their cash locked in, which that doesn't always happen, but it sure is a lot of fun. Now, anyone out there who would have loved to head into the next weekend with an extra $943 in your pocket, well, I've got another special little bonus here for you, which is the early payday plan. So inside this, I'm going to show you how to set your profit targets so that you can be in position to do just that, automatically close out as soon as we hit our goal on the trade. So you can set the trade, walk away, actually try to enjoy your weekend, And I'll include the exclusive information on how to automatically help protect against downside risk as well.
Nate, this is really, really awesome. This membership is special. And again, we've shown you guys like a dozen stories today of people loving the results. We've had about a dozen people post in the chat here about how they're loving the trades as well. And here's some more. Aaron made $813. Bill made $957. This is just one weekend trade. Cody said easy to follow in the weekend trade, not $1,140. Jeff's been stacking them up. He's using the weekend options, made $7,800 so far.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable. I mean, it's awesome to see real people actually make money with an idea versus just a theoretical. And of course, regardless of how good the research results are, never risk more than you can afford. All that good stuff still applies. Luckily, you don't have to, because even though we're using like a 5K average example, you can take a trade with about 130 to 180 bucks on average for any given trade. So if you're starting small, absolutely, that's okay. You saw a couple people starting with small accounts doing great, whether you're starting with $1,000 or $1 million. Hopefully you can start by focusing on the process and the understanding, and then stack it up over time, getting the hang of these straightforward weekend option opportunities. You can always start small and scale up over time. And that's why it doesn't matter who you are, young or old. As I always say, you've been trading for 10 years, just a few months. Maybe this is your first opening playbook session. Today, I want to invite folks from all walks of life to be one of those next 50 members to jump in before our weekend here kicks off. And based on the last 4 trades, we've taken the membership, all of which happened just 1 month, 781, 1,031, 1,849. You're looking at $7,500 a year if you just wanted to price it for like a reasonable 2-month price to get paid back. Pretty crazy. But for new members today, obviously not going to cost anything near that. I'm hoping to bring in 50 new people at a steep discount and get you in on this weekend options opportunity with a brand new opportunity that hits, every single Friday just before the weekend hits, right around 3 p.m. And you know exactly when to expect it.
Nate, I love it. And we've had over 400 people, almost 500 people in here today. 50 spots. They're going to go fast. So what's the price? $5,000 per year?
Well, obviously you can forget about paying $5,000. Forget about even $4,000. You guys know the drill. I'm going to try to give you the best opportunity possible. So if you want to join, we have an official price of $29.93 per year. That's less than the average month's return. But if you're watching the webinar, if you're here today, you're going to get a way better deal than that, as I always try to do. After analyzing nearly 100 trade opportunities across all different markets, 2025, great example. I've been blown away by the results of weekend options. If you stack up all the trade examples, winning and losing trades. Now, we talked about, can you start small? Guys, check this out. If you started with a tiny $1,000 account after 2 years and you reinvested aggressively, you put 33% into each new opportunity over that time, you would have gone from a $1,000 stake to $70,000 in profit. That's crazy.
That's some tiny account scaling right there.
Yeah. Now let me say it again. By the way, being aggressive here. So you're starting at $1,000. You're putting a third of the portfolio. You square off a small chunk of portfolio. Be aggressive with it. Since January of 2023, you would have ended up at over $70,000 in weekend payouts. Pretty crazy. So what if you start with twice that much? Well, you'd be deep into the 6 figures compounding into that. And that brings me to the first bonus here. So first of all, we have our weekend option discount. Now, this is based on the fact that over and over and over again, the average has been about $1,030 in weekend income each time there's a setup. So just to reward folks who take action, the ones who see an opportunity, don't hesitate, want to get in before today's trade, we have the early access member bonus starting now. Instead of charging $29.93, you're going to get the $1,030 right off, which takes it down to $1,963 for your first year. And I know that, $1,963, pretty phenomenal value given what our track records look like so far. But I want to do everything in my power to give you the most cash flow opportunities possible. And that brings me to our second bonus, which is that you're going to get the double bonus, which means if you're one of the first 50 in the door today, I'm actually going to cover the first year of membership access, which means when you join for $1,963, your membership isn't going to actually start ticking until 2026. So the first year, going to be on the house. You're going to get access for 2 full years for $1,963.
Nate, you just said it, but this keeps getting better and better. This is like getting the first full year of trades absolutely free. You're getting a 2-for-1 deal. And each and every trade alert is backed with a proven track record of paying right around $1,000 each time they hit. And I'm just thinking back to the 4 recent trades from the weekend options that hit, one that you sent out to members in real time. We had a lot of people in the chat talking about how they took them. That could have been a shot at $4,530 in one single month of trade alerts, $4,500 in a month. And keep in mind, these aren't from a back test. These aren't theoretical. These are the real-time results from the trades shared and published. Now, all in all, that would have been more than enough to recoup the cost of the subscription in just 1 month and have $2,567 in profit left over. That's not bad.
Yeah, and that's always my goal, to help folks, get ahead of that subscription cost, cover it as quickly as possible, and get into the gravy.
And Nate, you've had tons of people do that before. Jeffrey made back the subscription cost in his first trade. Tim doubled the cost of the program. Nice job, Tim. Keep it up. Ernie says, after 4 trades, I've already made enough to more than pay for 4 lifetime memberships. That's the more advanced membership there. Ernie's paid it off 4 times. Now that's really something.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going for, is for people to get into that gravy as quickly as possible. So if you join today, right here in this room, literally right now, you're going to get access to the all new weekend options, which is not all new now because we've got 10 winners under our belt, but only $19.63 gets you 2 years of access. So of course you still got to join today, still got to lock it in today, but your membership won't even start ticking until next year. Kind of get that first year on the house, but obviously limited time special. We're going to give it up, about the first 50 people are guaranteed. We'll see what happens if we fill beyond that. And I think the spots will fill pretty quick. So if you want to take action, get our next opportunity and put weekend options to work for you every weekend for the next 2 years, then be one of the first 50 in the door today at that discounted price. First come, first serve. Click the link in the chat. Gets you in at under $1,000 a year on a perfect win rate strategy so far. Or go to prosperitypub.com/WKO. As always, you can call our team 904-706-3537. Get your hands on today's new opportunity and 2 years of opportunities with weekend options.
Awesome. And Nate, I know you said this 2-year deal is good for 50 people. We've had almost 500 people here today. You brought it back a few months, or maybe 6 weeks ago, filled it up real fast. Then I'm sure these spots are going to go quick, and the timing is perfect, Nate. We got that new trade coming up today, 3 p.m., right? That's the time for the trade, 3 p.m.?
Yep. Yeah,
awesome.
I'll get out between 2:50 and 3:10. So pretty tight window there that you're looking for an opportunity.
So that gives you a full hour, guys, to get your trade set before the weekend on a pretty sweet strategy that's hit with 100% win rate so far. So, Nate, what will the next trade look like?
Well, obviously, only the members will know here in about, 3 hours. And, I'm not going to promise any future gains. Obviously, we've had a great run. I mean, you can see how consistent the weekend options have been so far. We've racked up, just from the live trades, $7,454 in the model portfolio. Pretty phenomenal so far. And remember, we are going after those bonus premiums. So this entire strategy is dedicated to that Friday opportunity every week if it triggers, and then targeting that weekend income. Because the markets close on Saturday and Sunday, we actually sidestep a lot of the market action. It's actually, yes, the weekend can sometimes move. Obviously, you have weekend gaps, but it's actually one of the tricky things that most people don't realize. The weekends in general move way less than people realize. So you're sidestepping a lot of that and still getting paid for the volatility they have to bake in. Look at December here, for example. First weekend, market was totally flat. Still hit a really nice winner on that one. Then we got to the next weekend when the market was going up, $775 on that one. Each weekend, same opportunity, just rinse and repeat as long as the opportunity triggers. And this time the market fell down, and we still would have got $1,037 in that weekend. So don't miss the next one. This is what we do every single time there's a trigger, which there will be today. Like I said, in a couple hours here. Lock in. Make sure you're one of the first 50 in the door there. prosperitypub.com/WKO. Call our team, or easiest thing to do is just click that link in the chat. If you click that link that Raleigh posted, thank you, Raleigh, for posting that link. Click that link in the chat. What it's going to do is it's going to load up the page for you to lock in the 2-year discount, and it's already in there. So that special link already has that link or that discount baked in there as soon as you open it up.
Yeah, and Nate, like you said, with this 2-year special, it's like under $1,000 a year. I know a lot of our people charging $2,500 a year for their subscription. Under $1,000 a year when you break down the math there. But now it's time for you to make your decision, because I know we've got a lot of spots filling up. Again, almost 500 people today. Open up 50 spots for this weekend trade today. So what are you going to do? You've seen the data. You've seen the results. What's your choice? Will you take action and jump in on the new trade? Well, I'm about to show you a whole bunch of people who have been taking action. They have been jumping in. They've been loving it. Karen made $1,230 a winner, as you know. Carrie took action here. Keep up the great work. $1,700 over the weekend. Dan J, he didn't just take action once. He's done it 4-0. 4 for 4 on the weekend trades. Loves that it doesn't have to be positive. The markets don't have to move higher for the trade to work. Steve's 2 for 2, about $900. Cindy, $1,200 in profits over one weekend. Carl's taken a few. He's up over $4,000. Mike's taken 3. All of them have been winners for Mike. Doug's placed 2 trades. He's up $1,090. Afasa says it's low risk, high reward. It's taken 3 of the weekend options. All have been profitable. Kurt's 4 for 4. Craig here's from $3K up to $7,480 in a month. So about, what is that, $4,500 we'll call it in 1 month. That's enough to pay off the membership and have $2,500 left over for Craig. Jeff up $7,800. He could pay that membership off about 4 times over, so he could get himself an 8-year deal. Jeffrey here came back, made the subscription in the first trade. Guys, click that link in the chat to get started right now. Again, that new trade's coming up. We are doing this 2-year deal for the first 50 who joined today. If you're the 51st, you'll probably be able to pay 1936, or 1963, but it'll probably be a 1-year access. So if you want that 2-for-1 deal, click that link in the chat to get started. Now we've got about 15 people asking here, is there a lifetime? Yes, guys.
Yes. On the next page, you can upgrade. It's even crazier because it's less than 1 year to join. And by the way, as a lifetime member, you also get access to another little special bonus, something that quite literally is not published anywhere else. It's called the Double Dip Weekend Options. So this is a lifetime members only special that I put together, which actually walks you through another weekend trade where you can target about 2 to 3 times as much potential if you kind of double dip and stack it on. Now, it is a little bit more of an advanced play, so you might want to get comfortable with weekend options, and then use it. But what you'll see is if you kind of double dip and stack it on, it's another high win rate strategy that can really max out the gains. And that bonus is only available if you want to get VIP, because I always like to do something a little extra for my VIP, my lifetime members. And so if you want to lock that in, you'll get access to that special bonus report as well. Just a report. It doesn't come with separate alerts or anything, but it walks you through step by step exactly how to do it if you want to add on that trade over the weekend. Another weekend strategy that I like.
Awesome. Now, I know we've got a lot of questions here in the chat, and guys, feel free to post your questions now. Nate, let me ask you a few common questions, and then we'll dive into these questions popping up in the chat. How much money is needed?
Yeah, so the average trade here is going to be around $2. I think 180 was our most recent average on the live trade. So obviously very affordable. You can trade 1 contract, 2 contracts, trade the most liquid instruments out there. So, you can trade 500 contracts. It really is up to you.
Awesome. Is this day trading? Do I need to worry about having a big, pattern day trading rule?
No, absolutely not. So again, we're trading on Friday. We're looking for the market to close us out on Monday. So it's not going to be a day trade. However, every once in a while, we get a trade that works so hot that Friday we put it on, 245, 250, and at 4 p.m. we've already hit our target. Now, if that happens, great, we'll take it. We'll love, the fact that we're out early. If that happens to you and you don't want a day trade, all you got to do is not set up your target until later. So if you want to avoid it, now I don't think you should avoid it, because I think if you get 1 day trade every 2 months, who cares? Take the money. But if you're really worried you don't want to get any day trades, really easy to avoid.
Awesome. Should I be concerned about a bear market? I know we had some people here saying but big news can break over the weekend.
Yeah, obviously, I am concerned that after, Graham and I both think we're going to get a pretty good July here, the next 6 months could be pretty dicey. But we're not worried about what the market's doing week to week or what the trend is doing. We're targeting just that weekend opportunity when it aligns with all of our filters and the market is closed. So far, we're doing great in 2025. Not going to guarantee that we have a perfect track record all of 2025, obviously. But a big part of this is that we're actually sidestepping most of that market action.
And I don't want to spoil too much here, but there is a filter you use, right, that helps you avoid some of those more volatile weekends. I mean, think about the weekend news that we've seen in 2025. We've had tariffs. We had the DeepSeek China AI thing where the market's bombed out. We had wars. We've had all sorts of crazy stuff. And yet, you still have a perfect win rate so far in 2025. And actually, this number's out of date. Let me give you the new number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 for 17 in 2025. So keep in mind, we've had some of the craziest news events that we've seen in years, 17 for 17 in 2025. which, I mean, obviously that's why your long-term results have been so good. Again, guys, small account friendly. You don't need a big account. $1,030 on average. We talked about this yesterday. Don't let anyone just show you the average winner. That means nothing. But when you're seeing winners and losers averaged out, that's when you can see the scalability. It's about 20% per weekend. There's a 94.8% success rate. So Nate, you are doing a great job here. And again, 17 for 17 during probably the most volatile year we've seen since maybe COVID. This is awesome. Can I trade this in a regular brokerage account, IRA, 401k?
Yep, it's risk defined. Any regular brokerage can do this. You got to get your permissions to trade options, but otherwise, you are good to go. We're not taking open-ended risk or anything like that.
Awesome. The next weekend options trade.
Well, obviously, we will be sharing that here in a couple hours with our new members, which I'm pretty excited about.
Awesome. How do we close the trade?
Great question. So what we do is we have that automated exit. So as soon as we get filled on the trade, we're going to set up our exit, and then you can walk away. You can shut your computer, not worry about it. That exit is set up. The broker is going to automatically take you out as soon as your target hits. And so you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to wait for an exit alert from me. You don't have to do anything. You just let the market go to work and hopefully hit another winner like we have a lot lately.
Awesome. Is there any sort of guarantee with this program?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are come and don't like what you see, you can get a 14-day money back guarantee, no questions asked. I'm not going to hold anyone hostage if they come in, they join the masterclass, they try a few weekends, and they're not excited. Obviously, my goal here is that not only do people not want a refund, they want to join lifetime as soon as they get a couple of trades under their belt because they love it. And that's what most of my members would tell you so far. But of course, you'll get all the training, all the stuff, see how the trades work. And if you're not excited about it, no worries.
Awesome. Do I have to be glued to the computer to take these entries and exits?
Honestly, probably about the easiest strategy there is to manage because the entries are going to come right at the same time every week, right? 3 to 3:30. I should say probably 2:45 to 3:10 would be a better range. So right at the end of the day, you kind of know exactly when it's going to come out. And then the exits, you don't have to do anything. You literally set them up as soon as we enter the trade, and there's no requirement, no extra steps needed for the exit. So pretty darn simple, in my opinion, to manage any of these weekend option opportunities.
I love it, Nate. I think this is a no-brainer. You guys saw the stories. I don't know if you were able to see all the chats, everyone, but there was about a dozen people who were posting in that you must join this. If you have any common sense, this is a great strategy to get in on. And Nate, people are loving it. I'm loving it.
I didn't get to shout out everyone in the chat. So, sorry, I know some people during the presentation said, "Hey, I love it. I've won X amount of trades," or "It's a great service." So do appreciate you guys. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to stop and pause and recognize you, everyone who said that they were loving it. But appreciate all that. Always great to hear from members who are actually doing it in real time and hopefully making some money.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. Let's go ahead and open up the chat here and answer some questions. And Raleigh, I see you're here. If you don't mind catching us up to speed here, I'm going to fade in the background, Raleigh, and let you kind of manage this with Nate. But I thank you guys all, and I really hope everyone's in on this trade. Nate, can you send me the trade when you have it so I can take it?
Yes, sir. I'll have it over here in a couple hours.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, send it to me too, Nate.
Hey, Raleigh, I have to charge you, though. I don't trust you enough.
I don't blame you. But anyway, hey, listen, terrific presentation. First of all, the opening playbook was amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
This was terrific at this point in time. You want me to grab the screen here, buddy?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You want to grab it? And as I mentioned, guys, that link that Raleigh posted already has that 2-year discount baked in. You don't have to type in a code or do anything else. That's the 2-year. That's the 2-year deal. So just pop that in there. Click that link, and it'll give you the deal automatically.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing the screen here, and okay. So several questions came up during the presentation, and you answered a number of them. But one question was this, Nate. We have the 4th of July coming up, which means Friday's a holiday, and there are times when Monday's a holiday. Are those weeks when you skip a trade, or would you look for the trade, for example, on next week on Thursday?
Great question. So extended weekends are one of our key filters. We have about 4 filters. That's one of them. So we won't typically take a trade on any kind of weekend holiday. Now, every once in a while, I'll give a bonus trade. I'll give it if I like where the market's at. If I'm optimistic about a certain thing, I'll throw in a bonus trade that you might want to consider. But the official trades have several filters. You'll learn all about them in the masterclass, by the way. I don't hold anything back. It's not like I say, oh, hey, this is how the strategy works, but here's these 3 things that are part of my proprietary. No, I teach you every single filter, every single step, and you'll learn those as soon as you go through the masterclass.
Man, that's fantastic. So that's good to know, folks. Actually, we don't get cute with these programs. There's a reason why they work, and we have all this objectivity behind it. So as Nate just said, if it's a long weekend, we just happen to skip that, and there are about four that occur during the year. Um, a number of people were wondering, are there specific tickers that this works best for, or are you just basically looking for the best opportunities?
Great question. So the way this works is, first of all, you have to start with tickers that have Monday because that's where our entire advantage built in. There's only about 6 of those that have Monday expirations. You can trade a couple different ones. The SPY, XSP, SPX, so all of the S&P are the most profitable. They're the most consistent over the weekend. They shrug off news the best. They have the best, win rates, all of the things. You could trade QQQ. You could trade a couple other ones. But I am trading the SPY assets simply because the testing and the data is the most profitable. And by the way, if you have those exit targets, one of the things that you want is really easy fills, right? If it hits your target by a penny or two, you want out of the trade when you're using an automated exit. Well, trading the assets with the most volume on the planet helps you get out a little more easily.
Okay, that's perfect. And once again, as you said, this is one of those things where you get the alert. You basically are going to set your exits and just walk away from it
Walk
and
away.
walk away. Now, what was interesting here is a number of people are wondering, Nate, am I putting 100% of my investment at risk? And I was looking at the track record, and the average winner is 23.8%, and you have a lot of winners. But the average loser was just 55%. So from that standpoint, once again, you're not risking 100% of your investment.
Right. Now there's an important distinction there, which is that I'm willing to risk 100%, which
Right. Yeah.
So if I throw $2,500 in today's trade, I'm willing to risk the 2,500. But a lot of times what you'll see is the market is kind of somewhere in between, and then I'll shoot out a manual. I say a lot of times, I mean, we're talking 5% of the time so far. So not a lot of times, but 5% of the time, the market is floating in between, and we'll cut it off with a manual exit at, a 30% loss or a 40% loss. I think there's one there's like a 2% loss, right? So it's like, it just depends on exactly what's happening in real time. But 1 out of every 15, 1 out of every 20 trades, you might get one of those where it's in between and you end up in that middle ground. And then I'll send you a manual alert that says, hey, we're in between. Let's go ahead and close out for, an updated limit order.
Nate, that is terrific. And once again, just to recap, folks, here, when Nate says he goes into the trade, he knows that his investment, it could be 100% at risk.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, once again, he is looking at the trade. He's monitoring the trade for us. And if it's not going the way he feels it's going to go, he'll get us out, and for a much, he'll try to limit our downside. And once again, folks, I got to tell you, we're talking about 95% win rate, 5% of the losing trades. You have managed nicely for us. That's fantastic. So Nate, the other big question on everybody's mind was like, what level options do I need, and what kind of option trades are these? I think you said we need to be able to trade spreads. Is that correct?
Yeah, and this will shock everyone that I'm using debit spreads for these kind of trades, because that's pretty much what I use across the board for every different way that I can skin the cat is some version of a debit spread. Now, this one's a little bit different because of the way that we do it. Spread width inside, the money, the fact that it's a Monday expiration, it's different than any other trade that I do. But structurally, you're going to need level 2 options for most brokers to do a debit spread. I'm going to use a debit spread with a target. Now, the cool thing, Raleigh, is, and this is kind of one of the secret hacks, if you will. I don't like throwing around things like secret hacks, but I'm being, hyperbolic here. But it is very cool, which is that sometimes you get into these trades, you pay a certain debit to get in because that's how a debit spread works. You have a target for a little bit more, and the market moves like 30 cents, and you're seeing a decent profit. And you're like, well, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And the reality is that sometimes literally just the volatility tailing off a little bit makes your trade more valuable. So I've seen trades where I entered at, 3 p.m. on a Friday. It gets to 4 p.m. The market has barely moved, and it says, hey, good news, you're up 20%. Close the trade. And you're thinking, wait, I didn't even get anything right yet. How did that happen? Now, that's rare, but it just shows you the power of kind of getting in and using volatility to your advantage instead of fighting it directionally, which is what we do on these weekend trades.
Wow, that's terrific. That's terrific. And we got some more great questions that are coming in here. One was just posted here from Sherry. She says, during the weekend, can we modify the trade if we need to? For example, Fidelity is my platform.
You can modify your target anytime. So you could log in on Sunday and change your target if you wanted to. I wouldn't typically recommend it, but you could modify the target at any point between, when you enter the trade and when that target is filled or the trade expires. So, anywhere in that range, yeah, you could change your target. You have a target set for a 20% ROI and you think, market just got some good news. I'm feeling aggressive, bumping that target up to 40%. You could do that. I'm very rules based, as I'm sure most of you guys know. So I'm not really one to do that in most situations. There are about 2 scenarios where I do that. They're very rare. But you, as the trader, especially because you will learn the strategy A to Z, have full control over whatever you want to do.
Yep. Good point there. And remind us once again, Nate, when do you typically issue these trades? Is it around 3 p.m. Eastern
Right
on
around
Friday?
3 p.m. I say 2:45 p.m. to 3:10 p.m. is the 25-minute range where you
Okay.
should pretty much be able to set your watch by. Obviously, I'm watching the market, so if at 2:45 p.m. Trump gets up and says, "Hey, we're sending planes over," I might hold back a little bit and say, "Hey guys, hang on tight. We're going to do a little bit later trade today." I'll be flexible within reason, but I'm very routine based. I'm very systematic. So 99 out of 100 times, it's going to be right in that same window.
Right. So one of the things that's important about this program is the fact that you have these master classes, and I know that you've held some, and they are recorded. Do you have any coming up on the calendar, Nate?
Great question. We don't have any on the calendar right now, but we probably will get one for July because we haven't done a live weekend trade in a little while. So we'll probably get one on the calendar for July. The live ones are great, but the master classes really walk you through step by step. And I do a live trade in the master class, so you can actually see a real money trade as well. So you're getting both the training and the live class.
Yeah,
If you do.
absolutely. And to so many people that are asking question, is this in the money, out of the money? You're asking a lot of specifics about the trade. It's all covered in the master class, folks. Okay, Nate walks you through everything. He's totally transparent. He wants you to know exactly what the trade's all about, why it makes sense, what you need to do, because at the end of the day, you're going to make the decision to place the trade.
Yeah,
We already know
absolutely.
that Nate's going to take the trade, but whether you make it or not, he's going to educate you on everything there, and it's all there. And as I said, those master classes are already pre-recorded, and they're not out of date. Once again, maybe the trade's out of date, but the information is priceless.
Yeah. By the way, totally random question Joseph asked, which has nothing to do with weekend options, just to be clear, so don't get confused. I have this T trade on, and it is in between our strikes right now. I have a target set right now for 70 cents. It's not at my target. So, Joseph, probably by 1 o'clock, I'll ratchet down that target and just get out for whatever I can. 50 cents, 52 cents is probably what I'll end up doing.
Okay. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah. So, so a question here with regard to the money back guarantee, there is one, yes. And so from, whether you go for the 2-year program or the lifetime price, you have 14 calendar days to make a decision if it's right with you. Now, some people might be a little bit concerned. Well, we got a weekend coming up. Guys, when you get into the program, take a look at the track record. Look at all the information that is there. Okay. And I think we feel confident that there's enough information there, and not only education, but training and direction and the opportunity to take some trades that you should be able to determine for yourself if this is something that you want to use going forward.
Yeah.
And as Nate said, if you're buying into this with the idea that I've already got one foot in the bucket, I'm going to take a refund, don't sign up.
Yeah, I would say, Charles, just your question, I understand your question, but I'd say probably not a great fit for you, Charles, because if you're thinking, oh, hey, I need to go 2 for 2 on the weekends or I'm out, you really shouldn't judge a strategy on 2 trades. That we don't do a 14 days so you can get 2 trades. We do it so you can get the training, get the understanding, and then decide if it's a good fit. Because no strategy is going to give you a track record in 2 days. You have to actually see if the strategy is right. So I totally appreciate your question. I know exactly where you're coming from. I would say that is not how I would recommend looking at a strategy. I would recommend understanding the strategy, making sure you can do it functionally. You like the way it operates, the timing works, all that kind of stuff. And then if you trust me and you trust the track record that we built so far, hopefully you're excited about it. But saying like, oh, hey, I lost my first trade, I'm out. I don't think that's really how I would approach it. So I'm not trying to be harsh, but if that was your mindset, I would say just skip this one. Maybe wait for something that you can get a little more testing on, because we won 17 in a row in 2025, Raleigh. If we lose this weekend trade, I'm certainly not going to think, well, dang, the strategy doesn't work.
That's
I'm going to
right.
think
No.
17 for 18. I'm thrilled. But if you starting this weekend, you're 0 for 1, you're going to have a different mentality. But hopefully, enough context that you think, well, 0 for 1 doesn't define a strategy. 17 for 18 so far. So all of that just to say, I don't think 2 weeks is ever going to tell you if a strategy works, no matter how many trades it has. Personally, just my preference. And so hopefully it's more about the training and if it works, in terms of what you expect out of the strategy.
You bet. And so Rob says, will there be a trade issue today? Absolutely, Rob. There will be a trade coming out sometime between 2:45 and 3:10. That's that 25-minute window that
Yep.
NAICS works within. So you sign up for the program today, you can expect that you're going to get that trade right around 3 p.m. Eastern time. And that gives you plenty of time to get it in the market before the market closes today.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have Nate here for a couple more minutes. He's got a bunch on his plate that he's got to do today, guys. And I'm going to stay a little bit longer and answer your questions. But man, Nate's the expert. This is his program. This is your time to ask him specific questions that he can answer for you. Do I have to do
I'm
a count?
scrolling through here. I think we covered most of them, but Raleigh, please point out. If you see, I'll give you a couple more minutes here if you see anything I missed.
No, like I said, there were a lot of questions specifically about the trade. Is this in the money? Is it out the money? Those types of things. And this is not the place to address that. That all happens in the master class. Let me see. Joseph says, how do you approach percentage allocation?
So for me, and by the way, I need to publish an official guide on this summer because I did a couple members only classes where I talked about this, but it's a common question. The way that I do it, Joseph, is I actually have a separate account. So I do it on an account basis. I have a separate active trading account that's higher risk, and then I put a more aggressive proportion of that account in my strategies. In other words, I don't take my main portfolio and risk 5% of my main portfolio on one options trade. I typically wouldn't recommend that, although any risk decisions are up to you. What I do is I carve out a separate strategy account that I can be more aggressive with. Then I try to double that account, and then I move profits over back into my investment account. Then I try to double it again, and I move profits into my investment account. So that's my approach. Obviously, everyone has their own risk tolerance, all that kind of stuff. But that's the way that I do it because I want to be aggressive in my account, but I don't want to be, I don't want to risk huge chunks of my total investment portfolio on an option trade. Well, how do you do both? Set up a separate trading account, and then you're aggressive within that trading account. So I don't know if that helps, but that's how I do it for me.
No, I thought that was great. Thought that was terrific. And so some people here in the room are sort of intrigued about the portfolio of programs that you have to offer. If they wanted to go someplace to see, what you do, Nate, would they just go to prosperitypub.com and look under gurus and find you?
Is it embarrassing that I have no idea what the right answer to that question is, Raleigh?
No, it's not, because
I have no idea where
you're focused
the best
on running the
summary.
business and trading.
I have no idea where the best summary of all the stuff that I've been doing and building is. If someone wants a better summary than what I'm aware of, you might have to call and just ask whoever you kind of get on the other end of that line. Hey, what's the best summary? Because I do have something called the Tucci Trading HQ. That's my headquarters idea, where actually you get everything. You even get like beta stuff before I'm even done with it. So some people are all in; they want that. You certainly call and ask them about that. That's it's obviously a very selective group of people. But there are other ways that you can kind of get a summary. They can send you a PDF, I think, of all the different stuff. I just have no idea where to get that.
I did a quick little check, buddy, and if people, and I'll go ahead and post this. If you go to prosperitypub.com, okay, what that is the general website, and there's a lot of information. There's an about us, page. There's services that are offered. There's roundtable information, but there you'll be able to go and see Nate, his handsome picture there, and be able to see you could read about the services. The other thing that you can do is call sales at 904-706-3537 and say, hey, my name is Raleigh. Here's my email address. Can you send me, a write-up or something on all of Nate's services? But yeah, so that's the beauty of a website is that we have that information there. Let me see. Ken says, are there different telegrams for weekend? What is it?
No,
Weekend
just
option income machine?
no, just one Telegram gives you the alert, and then you click and go right into the one-click portal that has the updates. Good question. It's
Yep.
all right there in that same Telegram.
Yep. So just to summarize there, Nate's going to be saying, hey, an alert's there.
Yep.
Okay. And you go
And
to
then
the one.
you click right into the one-click portal there.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Last point here, Nate, is that there's a number of people that maybe came a little bit late to the program, wondering if there's going to be a replay. And folks, there sure is. That's the good news. This is a live presentation and it is being recorded. And if any of you would like to have a link to a copy of this presentation, just give me your name and your email address and say, send me the replay. Put that in the chat panel. It's a private chat panel at this point. We're the only ones that see your email information. And when we're done here, I'll get that to our customer care team and they'll send you a link as soon as the replay is available. And with that, folks, if you have any last minute questions for Nate, now's the time to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to release him to his other duties and I'll take over from here.
Well, thanks, Raleigh. I appreciate it and appreciate all of you guys being here on a Friday. Huge room today. We had almost 500 people in for opening Playbook, which is always fun to hear from everyone. Max said, Max has a picture of me. What about my wife? Yeah, I would probably be a lot more popular if all of my pictures included my wife. What do they call that? Batting out of my league. What's that term?
Yeah, out kicking your punt, something.
Yeah,
out kicking your coverage,
out kicking the coverage.
Like
yeah,
that. You're
all the
better
things.
9/10.
Yeah, all the things.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, Nate, thank you so much, buddy. Not only for being here for today, but for everything that you do to bring strategies and techniques and platforms to us that are designed to give us an edge in how we trade the markets. You're sharing with us what you have created for yourself. And I think that's incredible that you do that. And that's what we do here. So take care, buddy. Have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to seeing you in the very, very near future.
All right. Thanks, Raleigh. You too. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully get some smooth weather over there. And I think we're finally getting close to the decline as well. So enjoy it.
That sounds great. Thank you, buddy. Well, once again, folks, this was, this was Graham and Nate. They started with the opening, playbook that they do on a daily basis. And that moved right into a presentation on the weekend options. Now, what I've done, folks, I've already shared with you that if you'd like to have a link to a copy of this presentation, all you have to do is give me your name and your email address and say, send me the replay. And I'll make sure that we get that over to our team and they email that out to you. What I've also done is I've created a little summary over what was presented today. Now, I've stripped out all the marketing stuff and the testimonials and things of that nature, but just to talk about the bare bones of the program for those of you that came late, or maybe we just like a little refresher as to what this program is all about. And I also have some information with regard to the special pricing that we have. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat panel and I'll address them as soon as I'm finished with this summary, which should take about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so today's focus was on weekend options, and it's a service that's solely dedicated to targeting extra income over the weekends, thanks to a special perk that's been set up by the CBOE just months ago. And this has shown the power to generate about 20% in average net returns each weekend. There's an opportunity. Now, throughout the presentation, Nate and Graham made representation, said, hey, you can earn $1,000 with this, and you can, and that assumes that you start with 5,000. So 20% of 5,000 is 1,000. Now, if you start with 500, you're going to be making 100 is what our results show should happen. So any way you look at it, I prefer to focus on the percentage. We're looking at 20% in average net returns. That's net of winners and losers. Okay. And the results have been impressive on back tested and live trades all the way back to the 6th of January 2023 through the 6th of June 2025. We've had a total of 79 trades, 75 winners, 4 losers. The average net return has been 19.7%, and the profit factor has been an incredible 7.97. And for those of you that are not familiar with profit factor, this means that for every $1 you lose, you make $7.97. That's an incredible profit factor when you consider that we're looking at a win rate of 94.9%. This is obviously not a scalping strategy by any stretch of the imagination. Now, when you join the program, here's how it works. Every single week, if we see a trigger, we're going to give you our very best weekend options income opportunity, one that Nate trades with his own money. All of the live alerts are Nate trades with his own money as well. So he's got his money on the line. And he'll send you the entry criteria, the specific options to take, as well as the automated exit prices as well. And you can expect about 3 to 4 of these trades every month. And once again, his intent is to send you one every Friday where Friday is not a holiday. Okay. But there may be times when the market just isn't setting up correctly, and you'll know in that case as well. In any event, 3 to 4 of these trades a month is what you can expect. And once again, the alerts will always hit your inbox on Friday, typically between 2:45 and 3:10. So let's say around 3 p.m. Eastern time and the last hour of the day. And you don't have to be glued to the screen wondering when to enter and exit. You can set your calendar to it. You're going to get an alert right around 3 p.m. Eastern time on a Friday. And you'll also get a text and telegram alert as well, telling you that a new trade or alert is waiting for you. Now, we also include a live masterclass where we cover every last detail about the weekend options, how to select the best strike prices for triple premiums, and triple the cushion, as well as covering overlooked technical pattern that increases your historic win rate by about 20%. And you can use this on other strategies as well. Now, Nate already has, I think, 1 or 2 of these master classes that are recorded that are in your members area. So once again, I would urge you to check those out because there's a lot of information about the program and it's not outdated, other than the fact that maybe there was a live trade that was taken that's no longer valid. He also said during today's presentation he will be scheduling another live masterclass here in July. We're just not quite sure when that's going to be, but as a member, you'll be aware of it. You can certainly attend live, or once again, it is always recorded and put in your members area. Okay. We also have extended hours trading. And what we mean by that is that we've designed the method behind weekend options to specifically focus on tickers that allow you to trade the options even after the markets have closed. Okay. So in our members only class, we'll walk you through the specifics of the strategy, plus how you can enter up to 15 minutes after the markets close, thanks to a small tweak in our options order. So with the tickers that we trade and the trade that we're setting up, you're not out of luck if it's after 4 o'clock. You have till 4:15 p.m. Eastern time to get these trades in the markets. And for those of us that are out and about or busy, that extra 15 minutes could be extremely helpful to us when it gets to entering these trades in the markets. Now, we also have the early payday plan where we'll show you how to set up the trade on Friday to automatically cash out when you hit our target. Normally that happens on Monday morning. So when the markets open again, but sometimes the trades are so good that we can get paid even early on a Friday. So imagine that there might be times when you get the trade at 3 o'clock, you put it into the market and you're out before the market even closes because it moves so quickly for you that you were able to go ahead and get your profit on Friday. that would be terrific. Okay. But in most cases, once again, more than likely, you're going to be getting out on a Monday to collect your profits or exit the trade. We also have complete support for everything that we do here. It's called Customer Service Live. And this is a live Zoom room that's open from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time every day. So, what you do, if you have any questions about this program whatsoever, is that you go into your members area, you click on Customer Service Live, and it takes you right into a live Zoom room where the team there is all set, they're experienced, they're knowledgeable. They also happen to be traders, so they know where you're coming from, and they'll answer any questions that you have about this program. It's a phenomenal services. We're one of the only companies I'm aware of that does this. That's 15 hours a week, 3 hours every day. Come in as often as you like, because we want to make sure that we have your questions answered and you totally understand how to fully leverage the products and services that you have bought from us. Now, with regard to pricing, our publisher set the retail price of this program at just under $3,000 per year. So $29.93 per year. But by virtue of the fact that you're here with us today in this webinar, and we think against the backdrop of what's going on in the markets, this is the kind of strategy that we think would be appealing. We've got a couple of bonuses here to make this very attractive. Bonus number one is that we're knocking $1,030 right off the price, making it $1,963 per year. Okay. But bonus number two is we decided that we would double that. And for the first 50 people that join the program, we're going to cover the cost of the first year of the membership. What that means is for 1963, it's not for 1 year, it's actually for 2 years worth of access on the program. So when you go, prosperitypub.com, you can see here everything in the program, the complete program. 1963 for 2 years worth of access is already set up for you. So here's some frequently asked questions. How much money is needed? Well, the trades average around $2 per contract. And Nate said he was looking at the live trades and it's been averaging about $1.80 per contract. So that would be $180 to $200 per contract. So we think that's very affordable for anyone, given that you might be starting out with a small account size. Like if you're starting with $2,000, $3,000 or whatnot, you're not risking a significant amount of your capital on any given trade. So once again, in the live trades, it's been 180. If we average everything across all the back testing that we did, it's about $200 per contract, and that's extremely affordable in our opinion. Is this day trading? Absolutely not. We're entering before the market closes on a Friday, and we're aiming to exit on Monday. So definitely, this is a short-term swing trade, but it's not a day trade. You don't have to worry about pattern day trading. Should we be concerned about a bear market? Well, we're not holding positions during the week. So we're targeting extra income over the weekend when the markets are closed. And the data shows so far we're 10 for 10. We're actually 17 for 17 and 25. We need to update that to be absolutely accurate. But the point is this, is we're getting into the market. And even though there may be crazy things that happen over the weekend or whatnot, we're kind of immune to it by virtue of the fact that the markets are closed at that point in time. And we're looking to get out on Monday morning. So once again, if you look at our back testing going all the way back to the 6th of January, 2023, and you think about everything that we've experienced over this period of time, through the election, through tariffs, everything that's there, we still have an incredible track record with this program. Can I trade this in a regular brokerage account or an IRA or a 401k? Yes, it is retirement account friendly. A warning here on 401ks though. 401ks are company sponsored and not all of them will allow you to trade options, but you can certainly do it in an IRA account and you can do it in a normal account as well. How do we close the trade? Well, there's an automated exit. You don't have to do anything to exit the trade. He'll teach you how to do it step by step, and then all you do is let it work. And when I asked Nate the question about the fact that if he sees that the trade is working against him, will he make a decision to interject himself and exit the trade early? The answer is absolutely yes. Okay. Now, over the trades that we've done, I guess the 80 or 90 trades that we've done, we've only had 5 losers. The average losing trade has been about 50%. So Nate will go in there, and if he's not happy with what's going on, he'll do a manual exit and he lets us know as well. So you're either going to let it expire and you take your profits, or he's going to tell you, hey, let's get out of this thing and limit our loss. Is there any kind of a guarantee? Yeah. This is a premium offering and it requires a ton of work on our side, but we are giving works of 14 people a 14-day money back guarantee. Okay. And what that means is whether you go for the 2-year program or the lifetime program, you have 14 calendar days from your purchase to fully examine the program. Look at the track record, look at the training material, even take a trade or two. Okay. To decide if this is something that's good for you. And if during that time you have a question or an issue or it's not working for you whatsoever, call us and we'll refund every penny of your investment. So let's see. Do I have to be glued to the computer to take the entries and the exits? No. Both the entries and the exits are extremely easy to manage. Entries happen, around 3:30 each Friday, and the exits are fully automated. Okay, so from that perspective, once again, prosperitypub.com /WKO. And when you go there, here is the membership. Okay, here's the landing page, and you can see you get weekend options for 2 years for $1,963. Okay, that's your cost. And for those of you that are asking if there is a lifetime offer, okay, there certainly is a lifetime offer. And let me put this in the chat. So weekend options pricing, the 2-year price, $1,963. If you want lifetime, the upsell for lifetime is $1,561. So the total cost for lifetime is $3,524. One of the really nice benefits of the lifetime is that it's a legacy license, which means that if at some point in time down the road, if you'd like to gift your membership to a son or a daughter or a friend or an acquaintance, you can certainly do that. Just call us and we'll transfer your membership absolutely free of charge. And what a terrific gift that would be to give somebody, once again, your membership for a continued lifetime access to this program. So, and when you do sign up for the program, here's a screenshot of what the members area looks like. You can see there's the trade tracker here where you can go and dig into the forensics of all the trades that have been taken. You want to join Nate's Telegram service, you do it here. There's an options calculator. If you want to join, the live masterclass, you do it here. Here's pre-recorded masterclasses. Nate also includes the slides that he used in the masterclass that you can download and make notes on. And there's additional information there. I just didn't want to take a bunch of screenshots, but I just wanted to introduce you into what the members area looks like. So once again, that concludes my summary presentation. So let me go to the chat panel here and answer some questions that have come up. I see that a number of you, great that you're looking for the replay.
All right, folks, that's the end of the presentation on weekend options. We'll see you back in about 3 hours and change for closing playbook at 3:30. Have a great rest of your day.